Chapter 594. Junior sister, long time no see. How have you been? The iron-blooded man was as gentle as water, afraid that he would frighten Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi smiled and waved his little hand. Senior brother Azura, long time no see. You've become more domineering. Ha ha ha, junior sister Huang is becoming more and more beautiful. Junior brother Qing Han is so lucky. Grand Monarch Azura was an overlord, but he couldn't put on any airs in front of Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi lowered his head and smiled, playing with the cloud beast on his finger. Grand Monarch Azura didn't care at all. Grand Monarch Azura looked down at the heroes of the insane sect and nodded. You're quite strong. It's only been a few decades, but you've broken through to this realm and brought out so many treasures. No wonder Master thinks so highly of you. Sigh, senior brother, you don't know. When you have too many people, your pockets will shrink. It's hard to be the head of a family. Yi Qinghan cried and stared at Grand Monarch Shura. Grand Monarch Shura had been the overlord of the Ninth Serenity for so many years. There was no way he didn't have any wealth. Even a little of this level of wealth would be enough to feed the eccentric sect for half a year. Grand Monarch Azura was a little confused by Yi Qinghan's stare. He's asking for a gift. This. I didn't prepare anything when I came. I only brought some godhoods and divine herbs. Consider it a gift from senior brother. Grand Monarch Azura shook his head and took out a Qiankuan ring and handed it to Yi Qinghan. This junior brother was really shameless. He came to help but didn't get anything. Instead, he had to give away some treasures. Ha ha ha, elder brother, you're treating me like an outsider. How could I possibly accept something like this? Yi Qinghan said, feeling a bit embarrassed. Reaching out, he took the ring of cosmos, dripped a drop of blood on it, and inspected it. Instantly, his eyes lit up. There were thousands of godhoods, as well as a dozen or so common godhoods. Thank you, senior apprentice brother. I've been beaten to a pulp recently. In the future, I'll pay you back tenfold. Yi Qinghan accepted the intermediate godhood divine cores without hesitation. Grand Monarch Shura waved his hand and pretended to be impatient. Since you've already called me senior brother, why are you still thanking me? In the insane sect, everyone was talking about the great path, the profound truths, and their cultivation experiences. For the sake of Yi Qinghan, Grand Monarch Shura didn't hide anything and answered all the questions. Everyone in the inner sect gathered excitedly and asked the overlord of the 9 underworlds to teach them. Even Zhuge Xianqing was extremely respectful. He was even more confused and in awe of Grand Monarch Shura's origin. At the Gan Mountain Ridge, Manor Head Gong Yang forcefully flattened the canyon and led his army towards the mystic Moon Mountain Range. His vigorous face was filled with killing intent, and he was incomparably arrogant. Massacre the city. Annihilation of a sect. Leave no one alive. Chief Gongyang gave the order. Wherever the army passed, corpses were strewn all over the place. They were forcing their way to the crazed sect. For every person you kill from the mad sect, I'll reward you with 1,000 low-grade divine crystals. For every person you kill from the inner sect, you'll get 10,000 mid-grade divine crystals. Anyone who kills Yi Qinghan will be a military governor. Anyone who captures Zhuge Xianqing alive will be the commander-in-chief of the 3 armies. Chief Gongyang led his army to the mystic Moon County. He sat on his armchair and looked down at the insane sect's army as if he was looking at ants. He didn't even bother to make a move. The army of Gongyang was excited. Their main force of 300,000 against the insane sect's army of more than 200,000. More than 30 captains and 3 military governors all appeared at the front. They were all in formation and cheering for their soldiers. Brothers, did you hear that? Capture Zhuge Xianqing alive and you'll be the commander-in-chief. Kill Yi Qinghan and you'll be a military governor. It's time for you to show off. The military governors used their words to motivate the army. However, everyone knew that Zhuge Xianqing wasn't someone who could be captured so easily. It must have been the work of the 3 military governors. Zhuge Xianqing stood in the middle of the insane sect's army and gently waved his feather fan. He looked at Chief Gongyang and took a deep breath. He bowed and said, "Chief, I advise you to retreat. Since I've chosen to submit to the insane sect, it means that the insane sect is worthy of my support. However, I feel that I owe you 3 times, so I don't want to fight you." Chief Gongyang sat on his armchair and rested his head on his fist. He looked at Zhuge Xianqing from the corner of his eye and said coldly, "Zhuge Xianqing, it seems that you're not that smart after all. Others choose the right tree to nest in, but you're casting pearls before swine. You're asking for death. Today, I'll fulfill your wish and let you see with your own eyes how the insane sect will be destroyed. Chief, please retreat. I won't send troops after you." Zhuge Xianqing bowed again. He didn't want to force his old master into a dead end. However, Chief Gongyang didn't buy it. He waved his hand at the 3 military governors and said, "Attack. There's no need to capture them. Kill them." Dong, dong, dong. The sound of the heaven-shaking drums shook the sky and the earth shook. The impact of hundreds of thousands of heaven-shaking drums was absolutely spectacular. With so many heaven-shaking drums exploding at the same time, the sound waves were so loud that the army coughed up blood. The insane sect's army suddenly changed their positions and formed an 8 trigrams formation. More than 30 heaven-shaking drums appeared and the sound of the drums shook the sky, causing yellow sand to dance. Dong, dong, dong. The strong men beat the drums and the strong men drew their swords. Their chi and blood rushed to the sky. The insane sect's army didn't care about Chief Gongyang at all. They just stared at the army and their momentum was no less than the enemy's. The 3 military governors frowned. This didn't make sense. Zhuge Xianqing wouldn't be so stupid. The chief was here in person, but he still dared to arrange the army like this. Didn't he know that the army was useless in the chief's eyes? Even if the chief wasn't here, how could they defeat the 300,000 soldiers of Gongyang Prefecture with only 200,000 soldiers, the East Pacifying Army, and Mo Tianwei? Chief Gongyang also felt that something was wrong. The military strength of the insane sect's army was somewhat different from what he had heard. There were tens of thousands of god worshippers, and these were not ordinary soldiers. In just a few days, there are so many god worshippers. Now, Zhuge Xianqing doesn't care about me at all. Is there a strong man in the insane sect who hasn't come out? Chief Gongyang frowned and sat up straight. He covered Wuxia mountain with his divine sense, but he didn't find Grand Venerable Shura. However, he felt that there was a faint and powerful aura cruising in the sky. He couldn't help but stand up slowly. "Since you're here, why don't you come out and meet me?" Chief Gongyang used his divine power and shouted. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi walked out of Wuxia mountain side by side. One held a saber, and the other held a guqin. They walked slowly and looked straight at Chief Gongyang. "So you're Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi." 2 juniors of the lower god worshippers dared to kill 300,000 soldiers of my Gongyang prefecture. "You've impressed me," Chief Gongyang said with disdain. The corners of his mouth curled up. "So you're the chief of Gongyang prefecture. The young marshal that you raised abandoned the soldiers and ran away. It seems that the saying that dragons give birth to dragons, phoenixes give birth to phoenixes, and the son of a mouse can dig holes is true," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Are you calling me a dog father and a dog son?" Chief Gongyang asked indifferently. He was full of killing intent. "Chief Gongyang, you're smart. It's easy to talk to smart people." Yi Qinghan walked forward with his saber. His aura grew stronger and stronger. He brought the aura of more than 200,000 soldiers of the insane sect to Gongyang Prefecture's army and suppressed the aura of 300,000 soldiers. Emperor Yi tapped his toes and landed on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. His white dress swayed, and his long hair danced. It was as if he had become one with the heavens. He was flawless. Ha 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 ha, Chief Gongyang looked up to the sky and laughed. His white hair was like a divine weapon that shook the mountains and rivers. I've been fighting for hundreds of thousands of years. Even the chiefs have to call me brother when they see me. Even the princes of the divine nations have to call me sir when they see me. How dare you call me a coward in front of everyone? Chief Gongyang clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He looked down at Yi Qinghan and suppressed Yi Qinghan with a wisp of his will. His murderous aura condensed into a substance. Emperor Ye's fingertips moved, and the strings of the zither vibrated. It actually split the sky into two as if there was a fault. It stopped Chief Gongyang's will from crushing him. It depends on who I'm talking to. Your people attacked my insane sect first, so you should be prepared to die. Since you want to take revenge, you'll die together with me today. Yi Qinghan was extremely domineering. He raised his saber and his battle-intent sword. Beat the drums. Get ready. Yi Qinghan waved his saber and was ready to fight. Wait, ask the person behind you to come out. Don't be a coward. I'd like to see who's here to give the insane sect the confidence to declare war on my Gongyang prefecture. Chief Gongyang stared at the western gorge mountain, eager to find Grand Sovereign Shura. Experts at the level of a chief usually wouldn't fight. Even if the Shattering Army Prefecture and Gongyang Prefecture joined forces, it would only be a battle between their armies. Their chiefs wouldn't fight to the death because once they were provoked, they would most likely die together with their enemies. Who would want to die if they could cultivate to the level of a chief? Chief Gongyang couldn't find Grand Sovereign Shura, so he was anxious and wanted to force him to show himself. He didn't even dare to attack Yi Qinghan to force Grand Sovereign Shura out. He was afraid that he would be killed by the other party's experts before he could kill Yi Qinghan. At this moment, Grand Sovereign Shura walked out of the western gorge mountain with his hands behind his back. He was extremely confident and domineering, like an overlord of the world. Grand Sovereign Shura was known as the Shura Overlord in the 9 underworlds. His domineering aura wasn't any weaker than that of a divine master. Chief Gongyang was shocked. He looked at Grand Sovereign Shura and sensed his murderous aura and domineering aura, but he had never seen it before. He couldn't help but ask, "Who are you? How come I've never seen you before?" "I'm Shura. There are many experts you haven't seen. You're just a frog at the bottom of a well. How dare you bully my junior brothers and sisters? Why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror to see if you're worthy?" Grand Sovereign Shura sneered disdainfully. Chief Gongyang's heart skipped a beat. He felt like he was going to explode. He thought, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi are this person's junior brothers and sisters. Then who's their master? Is he one of the superior god priests? Shura. Chief Gongyang tried hard to remember, but he had never heard of this name. Don't think about it if you can't remember. Since you want to kill my junior brothers, I'll fulfill your wish. Today, I'll bury you first. Grand Sovereign Shura suddenly sprinted. A 3-foot-long dagger appeared in his hand. Cold air froze 1,000 miles. The army on the battlefield suddenly felt like their hearts had stopped beating and their souls were frozen. Time and space seemed to have stopped. Only Grand Sovereign Shura was still sprinting. Boom! 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 Every step Grand Sovereign Shura took caused the earth to collapse. He slashed his dagger at Chief Gongyang's armchair. His dagger energy traveled 1,000 miles and split Xianyue County in half. Tens of thousands of Gongyang soldiers were killed. Tens of thousands were scared to death. Chapter 595 Grand Monarch Azura's saber was as fast as lightning. Even Yi Qinghan and the others couldn't detect the trajectory of his attack. Whoosh! Black Moon County was cut open. The saber energy and murderous aura mixed, scaring tens of thousands of people to death. Lord Azura's attack. Their murderous aura could really scare people to death. It could even scare the experts of the Divine Shrine to death. Mansion Master Gong Yang didn't even think about it. He directly fled, leaving the army behind. His face was pale as he retreated dozens of miles. Then, he jumped into the sky and looked at Grand Monarch Azura. You've misunderstood. I didn't know Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were your junior sisters. It's not too late to find out now. However, you have to pay the price for your mistakes. Grand Monarch Azura held his saber and shouted, "Take my 12 moves of Azura." Swoosh! 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 The saber light shattered heaven and earth. The true mastery of the saber Tao demonstrated the ruthlessness of the great Tao and the ruthlessness of Azura. The army coughed up blood. They were so frightened by Grand Monarch Azura's aura that they kept vomiting blood. Even the arrogant Sek's army was frightened. It was also Yi Qinghan's first time seeing such an expert in action. He could only describe it with 2 words. Impossible to resist. Boom! Boom! Mansion Master Gong Yang's weapon was a sword, a top-tier middle-rank divine weapon. His sword Dao pierced through heaven and earth. The sword light and saber light collided, tearing space and time apart. However, Azura was domineering. The more he fought, the fiercer he became. Mansion Master Gong Yang didn't want to fight. He was already old and didn't want to fight at all. His cultivation base was at its peak at this moment. Boom! Boom! Grand Monarch Shura unleashed the power of the Great Desolation, forcing Palace Master Gong Yang to retreat again and again. The 12 forms of the Shura saber technique were a perfect work of art. There were no flaws. However, even Yi Qinghan couldn't see the trajectory. Only Medusa, Zhuge Xianqing, and the 12th rank 7 Demise Snake could catch Grand Monarch Azura's trajectory with difficulty. He's too powerful. Medusa and the other experts gasped. They were stunned by Azura's domineering aura and murderous aura. Fellow, you've misunderstood. Mansion Master Gong Yang still wanted to reconcile. Azura slash. Whoosh! A saber beam descended from the sky, slicing through space and time. It severed the shackles and shattered the earth. The saber tip appeared directly above Manor Head Gong Yang's head. Boom! Bang! Manor Head Gong Yang didn't have time to dodge. He could only raise his sword to block. But, the Azura Overlord's strength came crashing down like the heavens, directly shattering Manor Head Gong Yang's divine body. Blood shot into the 9 heavens as the Azura War Saber slashed Manor Head Gong Yang's broken body deep into the ground. Black Moon County was torn apart as countless living beings died miserably. He had no chance to struggle at all. When the Manor Lord was angry, he could shake the world. When an overlord was angry, even a plane would be affected. Fortunately, this was a middle plane. If it was a small plane, the Azura Overlord would be able to slice it into pieces with a single slash. Puff! Manor Head Gong Yang coughed up blood and looked at Grand Monarch Azura in horror. Although he was also a manor head, his cultivation was probably the weakest among the 56 manor heads. That was why he hadn't dared to join forces with the manor head of the Broken Army Manor to fight the Mu Manor head. Now, he was even less of a match for Grand Monarch Azura, who was one of the 9 Hells Overlords. Grand Monarch Azura was extremely domineering. He held the Azura War Saber in his hand and stepped down. His blood-red battle robe fluttered in the wind. He was like the god of death descending. His murderous aura made his opponent lose the courage to attack. Someone like you dares to attack my junior brothers and sisters? My junior sister is so gentle and cute. How can you bear to kill her? Grand Monarch Azura was furious. He raised his saber again and slashed horizontally. Manor Head Gong Yang was depressed. Azura was too fast. The murderous aura on him could even affect the operation of his divine power. He couldn't dodge in time and could only raise his sword to block again. However, he was sent flying by Grand Monarch Azura's saber. Boom! Manor Head Gong Yang was in a state of decay. He was battered and battered by Grand Monarch Azura. He was no longer as domineering as before. Fellow cultivator, don't force me, yo. I'm forcing you. What can you do to me? Boom. Boom boom. Bang. 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 Grand Monarch Azura didn't enjoy the last battle. He knocked away Manor Head Gong Yang's divine sword, put away his saber, and punched Manor Head Gong Yang. Manor Head Gong Yang was instantly turned into a human target. He couldn't resist at all, and his body was smashed out of shape. The army of Manor Head Gong Yang was stunned. They had no idea how to deal with this situation. Even their Manor Head Gong Yang had been defeated. Even if they defeated the army of the Guangzhong sect, would they be able to escape Grand Monarch Azura's pursuit? It was meaningless to fight now. Yi Qinghan had received news that the innocent people in more than a dozen cities and counties nearby had been slaughtered. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He wanted to destroy the army of 300,000, but Emperor Yi stopped him. Emperor Yi shook his head and advised, "Master, forget it. If you can subdue them, then subdue them. If you can't, then kill them. There are so many people. It's not good to kill too many." At this moment, Zhuge Xianqing also bowed and pleaded, "Sect Master, the soldiers are innocent. The ones who are guilty are the commander-in-chief and the 3 military governors. Sect Master, please spare the others." Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment. He frowned and said coldly, "Someone has to take responsibility for the innocent people who died. I'm the lord of this territory, so I have to take responsibility for their lives. Take their weapons and seal their divine power. Kill anyone who dares to resist." Yi Qinghan waved his saber and ordered the army to charge at the army of Manor Head Gong Yang. The army of Manor Head Gong Yang didn't dare to fight anymore. Their Manor Head could only be beaten up. He didn't even have a chance to fight back. It was impossible for them to win. If they surrendered now, they would still be alive. If they didn't, they wouldn't even know how they died. Those who were loyal to them were about to die. The so-called loyalty was worthless now. Whoosh! Whoosh! The army put down their weapons. The divine power of the priests was sealed. The ordinary soldiers were detained at the side, waiting for Yi Qinghan to decide their fates. The 3 military governors looked at Zhuge Xianqing pleadingly, hoping that he would save them. However, Zhuge Xianqing only snorted and didn't speak up for them. The 3 military governors were ruthless and ruthless. Usually, when an army passed by, they would die. Because of this, Zhuge Xianqing had quarreled with them several times. However, the quarrel never ended because the manor head approved of their actions. Yi Qinghan didn't even interrogate them. He directly sealed the 3 military governors. He grabbed a sharp sword from the ground and executed the great Nirvana sword art. The divine sword couldn't withstand the impact of the sword chi and turned into dust. However, the sword chi also killed the 3 military governors. Even their souls were destroyed. These 3 supervisors will be buried with the countless innocent people who died in my territory for the time being. As for the others, I'll leave them to you to interrogate. I want to see if the innocent people were killed because they were following orders, or because they wanted to kill them." Yi Qinghan shouted angrily. At this moment, Manor Head Gong Yang was on the verge of death. He was covered in wounds from Grand Monarch Shura's fist and saber chi. His injuries were irreparable. Even his divine power couldn't heal him. He could only let his blood flow freely. Boom! Grand Monarch Shura stomped Manor Head Gong Yang to the ground and said to Yi Qinghan, "Junior brother, how should we deal with him?" "Kill him." Yi Qinghan replied without hesitation. "No. Fellow Taoist Yi, please give this old man one more chance." Cough, cough. "I'm willing to submit to you as a slave." Manor Head Gong Yang was terrified and begged weakly. "No need. You'll be buried with the innocent people in my territory." Yi Qinghan said coldly. Whoosh! Hearing this, Grand Monarch Shura chopped off Manor Head Gong Yang's head. The murderous aura instantly destroyed all of Manor Head Gong Yang's vitality. Even his soul couldn't escape. His godhead was forcibly extracted and floated to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan put away the godhead and said to Grand Monarch Shura, "Senior brother, take him to my main battle zone. I'm worried about my brother." Whoosh! Grand Monarch Shura grabbed Yi Qinghan and soared into the sky. He was much faster than the Mu clan's manor head. In the blink of an eye, he had rushed out of Xianyue County. In the main battle zone, Lu Zhantian was covered in blood and wounds. He was fighting a bloody battle with the greedy wolf. Iron Dragon Army, retreat. Retreat from the battlefield. Lu Zhantian's voice was hoarse. After fighting with the greedy wolf for several hours, he was extremely exhausted. He had finally gained the upper hand because of the difference in realm, but he was instantly suppressed by arrows from his own side. Half of the fatal wounds on his body were caused by Chao Kun and the others. Save the commander. Everyone, charge with me. Fight. The Iron Dragon army was burning with anger. They could see that Chao Kun and the others wanted to kill Lu Zhantian, but Mu Feilong was indifferent. It was impossible that they hadn't discussed this beforehand. Boom! The greedy wolf was also covered in blood. Half of it was his, and the other half was Lu Zhantian's. He was a mid-level god priest and a king of the same realm. He had fought with Lu Zhantian for such a long time, and he even had to rely on his own people to kill him. He felt extremely humiliated. "Since your teammates wish for you to die, then go die." The greedy wolf roared and killed more than 10 Iron Dragon army priests. His repaired claws tore through the void and grabbed at Lu Zhantian's throat. Boom! Lu Zhantian's eyes were bloodshot. He pierced through the shackles with his spear and collided with the greedy wolf's claws. However, his godly power was exhausted, and he didn't have much battle power left. The greedy wolf grabbed his spear. "Have you run out of energy? Your Iron Dragon army is already crippled. Why are you, the commander, still alive?" The greedy wolf sneered as he gripped his spear tightly. Lu Zhantian's face was covered in blood. He sneered as he looked at the battlefield that was littered with corpses. The Iron Dragon army was crippled, but the Army Destruction Prefecture's army was also crippled. Chao Kun and the other 3 didn't save the Iron Dragon army, and instead, killed the remaining soldiers from the outside. At this moment, the Mu clan's palace lord and the Army Destruction Prefecture's palace lord had opened up another battlefield. The two were fighting fiercely. The Mu clan's palace lord really wanted to kill the Army Destruction Prefecture's palace lord and then go to Yi Qinghan's aid. He didn't want to offend Yi Qinghan, and he didn't want to offend the High God. However, he didn't expect that his son would target Lu Zhantian. Lu Zhantian smiled bitterly. He used his last bit of strength to fight for a chance of survival for the remaining Iron Dragon army. "Brothers! Escape! Avenge me in the future!" Lu Zhantian roared. He suddenly let go of his spear and hugged the greedy wolf. He wanted to use his body to fight. Even if he had to use his mouth, he wanted to bite the enemy in front of him to death. The Iron Dragon army roared in grief. They didn't want to leave and continued to attack. Some priests, in order to save Lu Zhantian, also let go of their weapons and bit at the greedy wolf. Boom! 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 More than 10 people hugged each other at the same time. For a moment, both sides couldn't attack as they were afraid of injuring their commander. They huddled together and tried to tear each other apart. Chapter 596. Crack. It was unimaginable how cruel it was when the priests used their teeth to tear apart the enemy's flesh. Dozens of people huddled together and screamed. Lu Zhantian and the greedy wolf were surrounded in the center, and countless pieces of flesh were bitten off. Mu Feilong saw how powerful Lu Zhantian was, and his killing intent grew. He clenched his fists and snorted, "Humph, you can only blame yourself for not submitting to me." Chao Kun and the others' cold gazes were filled with ruthlessness. They began to lead their army toward the Steel Dragon Army's battlefield. Of course, they weren't trying to save Lu Zhantian, they were trying to kill Lu Zhantian and the greedy wolf. Kill! At this moment, the main battle zone was in chaos. The army of the Shattering Army didn't allow Chao Kun and the others to get close. Even the Iron Dragon Army didn't allow them to get close to Lu Zhantian's battle zone. The Steel Dragon Army loyally protected their master. They weren't supporting the Mu clan, but Lu Zhantian. Tens of thousands of Steel Dragon Army and the army of Shattering Army rushed toward the army led by Chao Kun and the others. They had been cruising around the periphery and didn't suffer many losses. How could the exhausted Steel Dragon Army and the army of Shattering Army fight against them? When Mu Feilong saw that the Steel Dragon Army was attacking his army, he immediately became ruthless and roared, "The Steel Dragon Army has betrayed us. Kill them all." Lu Zhantian, who was being hugged by countless priests, might have been in a state of terminal lucidity or a burst of potential, but he knocked all the priests away, including the greedy wolf. He picked up his spear again and roared at Mu Feilong, "Mu Feilong, if you dare to kill my Steel Dragon Army, I will rebel against the Mu clan." "Lu Zhantian, how dare you? We're fighting to the death for the Mu clan and helping you out of your predicament, yet your Steel Dragon Army dares to attack my army? How preposterous! Do you still have the Mu clan in your eyes?" Mu Feilong shouted in a domineering manner. He, ha 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 ha. Lu Zhantian was so angry that he laughed. If it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be in such a miserable state. The situation might have been reversed, and the Steel Dragon Army wouldn't have suffered such heavy losses. Steel Dragon Army, retreat! Retreat! Lu Zhantian gritted his teeth. The Steel Dragon Army only had 30,000 men left, and more than 90% of them were dead or injured. At this moment, his face was filled with unwillingness. When he heard Lu Zhantian's order, he had no choice but to clench his teeth and retreat. More than 30,000 Tai Long army soldiers retreated behind Lu Zhantian and shouted, "Young Marshal, they clearly want to kill you." "I know. Bear with it." Lu Zhantian's voice was hoarse. This was the final radiance of a setting sun. Perhaps he could still intimidate Mu Feilong and prevent him from shedding all pretense of cordiality. Once he fell in battle, they would not hesitate to wipe out the remaining 30,000 Steel Dragon Army soldiers. Lu Zhantian looked at the miserable Patan Lang and sternly said, "Patan Lang, let's stop fighting. I'll retreat. If you dare to stop me, I'll take you down with me." Patan Lang saw that his army only had around 300,000 men left, and they were scattered all over the place. If he forced Lu Zhantian to stay, both sides would suffer heavy losses. It was better to let Lu Zhantian retreat and let them fight amongst themselves. Perhaps Patan Lang would still have a chance to win. Patan Lang was a smart person. He knew that if he didn't drag Lu Zhantian down with him, he would die here today. Thus, he ordered his army to gather and counterattack Chao Kun and Mu Feilong's armies. However, he left Fan Guang and Zhen Luo's armies empty and took the initiative to lead them to attack the Steel Dragon Army. Mu Feilong gave Zhenluo a look, and Zhenluo understood. He led his army of 100,000 and charged towards the Steel Dragon army. As for Fan Guang, he continued to charge towards Patan Lang's army. Lu Zhantian was furious. Mu Feilong really wanted to kill them all. He took out the commander-in-chief's command token and shouted at the Mu clan's army, "What are you doing? Killing each other on the battlefield and attacking the commander-in-chief? Are you rebelling?" Zhenluo coldly snorted and said, "Lu Zhantian, you actually ordered the Steel Dragon army to block Brother Mu's reinforcements. I suspect that you've already rebelled. Put down your weapons and wait for the manor head to return so that he can personally judge you." Lu Zhantian was disdainful. He looked at the so-called God Institute students and sneered, "Whether I rebelled or not, the world doesn't know. However, today, all the soldiers will see clearly. I used my life to block your army, but you attacked me from behind. I will naturally report this to the manor head. If you want to fight, then you and I can fight alone. Don't implicate the soldiers." Lu Zhantian was definitely one of the best amongst his peers. He could even fight against those of a higher realm. His killing intent was even stronger than that of the God Institute students. Zhenluo really didn't have the confidence to kill Lu Zhantian, so how could he be willing to fight alone? Lu Zhantian was already exhausted. If he was surrounded by the army, he would definitely die. Attack! Don't waste words with him. After Zhenluo finished speaking, he led his army to charge towards the battered Steel Dragon army. "Superintendent Meng Qi, where is your army's spirit? You dared to lead your army to surround and kill the Steel Dragon army today. Will you be able to sleep in the future?" Lu Zhantian continuously led the Steel Dragon army to retreat. At this time, the Steel Dragon army could no longer withstand the attack. They would be slaughtered like lambs. He couldn't watch the Steel Dragon army die in front of him, so he used his prestige to pressure Superintendent Meng Qi, who was behind Zhenluo. Meng Qi's expression slightly changed. After all, he was still a member of the military and was once loyal to the Steel Dragon army's commander-in-chief. Now that Lu Zhantian was the commander-in-chief, he should be loyal to Lu Zhantian. However, his ambition wasn't small. If Lu Zhantian didn't fall, his career would end at the rank of superintendent. "Commander-in-Chief Lu. I personally saw the Steel Dragon army obstructing young Master Mu. If you surrender without a fight, I will definitely report your contributions to the manor head and let you return to the mortal world." Meng Qi held his spear and said in a hoarse voice. "If I give up resisting, are you willing to let the 30,000 Steel Dragon army withdraw from the battlefield?" Lu Zhantian saw Meng Qi's attitude and didn't have any extravagant hopes. He wanted to use his life to exchange for the lives of the 30,000 Steel Dragon army soldiers. Meng Qi hesitated and looked at Zhenluo. Zhenluo knew that the Steel Dragon army's morale couldn't be recovered. Leaving the Steel Dragon army alive would be a disaster sooner or later, so he wanted to kill them. Lu Zhantian was furious and roared at Meng Qi, "Meng Qi, don't forget that you also came from the Steel Dragon army. Your life was also given by the Steel Dragon army. Young Marshal. There's no need to beg them. Even if we die today, we will die together with the young Marshal." The Steel Dragon army roared. Although they were exhausted, they were full of fighting spirit. "Shut up!" Lu Zhantian angrily rebuked. How could he let them die in vain? He still wanted Meng Qi to retreat, so he said, "As long as you are willing to take a step back and save the lives of these 30,000 brothers, I will immediately disband the Steel Dragon army and let them live. Today's matter will not be mentioned in front of the manor head. If the manor head wants to appoint a new commander-in-chief, I will definitely recommend you." "Good. I believe Lu Zhantian's words." Meng Qi instantly agreed. He didn't even look at Zhenluo. "All of you, retreat. Retreat from the battlefield. From now on, there will be no Steel Dragon army. You are no longer part of the Steel Dragon army. Lu Zhantian turned around and looked at the familiar faces. There were more than 30,000 people, and he could even call out their names. This was the friendship between brothers. Young Marshal. We swear that we will live as part of the Steel Dragon army and die as part of the Steel Dragon army. If you want us to give up our military spirit, why don't you just kill us? Let us die standing. The 30,000 soldiers knelt at the same time. Tears of blood fell from their eyes. No one was afraid of death. Lu Zhantian was getting more and more tired. Soon, he couldn't even stand. He knew that if he didn't chase these people away, they would all be buried together with him. Even if the manor head came back and saw the situation, he would probably suppress the Steel Dragon army. Are you forcing me to die with regrets? Lu Zhantian's eyes widened and blood spurted out of them as he roared in a low voice. Zhen Luo was getting more and more impatient. Meng Qi also couldn't bear it. He hated that these soldiers weren't his own. Since they want to die, I will fulfill their wish. Meng Qi, kill them. Zhen Luo shouted and directly rejoined Lu Zhantian. Meng Qi clenched his teeth and led the army to attack the Steel Dragon army. The Steel Dragon army erupted with the will to die. They wanted to save Lu Zhantian. They all rushed over and roared, "Young Marshal, please leave. Don't let our brothers die in vain." Lu Zhantian's eyes were about to split open. At this moment, his divine power was exhausted. He couldn't even fly, so how could he escape from the battlefield? I am not willing to accept this. Lu Zhantian roared towards the sky. He didn't die at the hands of the enemy, but at the hands of his own people. Boom! You dare! An angry roar shook the mountains and rivers. It was as if time had stopped and the entire battlefield quieted down. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. There were two more people in the sky. They were unfamiliar, but some people had heard of the 7-foot crazed sword. Is that Yi Qinghan? The Steel Dragon army was excited. Ever since Lu Zhantian returned to the Steel Dragon army, he had been mentioning this name proudly. The Steel Dragon army knew almost everything about Yi Qinghan. They had been looking forward to the 7-foot crazed sword for a long time. Lu Zhantian looked at Yi Qinghan in the sky and cried bitterly. He shouted hoarsely, "Brother Yi, I'm sorry. I didn't have time to help you, but you did." Yi Qinghan appeared between the Steel Dragon army and Zhen Luo with a swoosh. His face was filled with hostility and his eyes could steal people's souls. Yi Qinghan. Lu Zhantian betrayed us. You better mind your own business. Zhen Luo warned coldly. I'm really going to meddle in this business. Yi Qinghan smiled disdainfully. Lu Zhantian betrayed them. This was the funniest joke in the world. Even if Lu Zhantian betrayed them, it was because the Mu clan had done something hurtful. Yi Qinghan, this is a matter of our military cleaning up the Mu clan. Please don't interfere. Meng Qi shouted. Scram! Yi Qinghan waved his long blade and pointed at Zhen Luo and Meng Qi. I don't know you. Let your manor head tell me that Lu Zhantian betrayed us. You don't have the qualifications. If you dare to splash dirty water on my brother again, I'll let you be covered in blood. Arrogant. Zhen Luo was furious. He pulled out his sword and coldly said, I'm Zhen Luo from Tian-Ke Divine Academy. Dao friend, be careful with your words. Don't invite trouble onto yourself. Tian-Ke Divine Academy is amazing. I'll kill you like a dog. If you're not convinced, then let's fight. Yi Qinghan said disdainfully. His aura rose as if he wanted to start a fight. Chapter 597. The battlefield was deathly silent. Because of Yi Qinghan's arrival, the Mu clan seemed to be having an internal conflict. Mu Feilong frowned as he looked at Yi Qinghan. The Mu clan's master didn't tell him about Yi Qinghan's true identity. At this moment, he still thought that Yi Qinghan was just a young man his father admired. He frowned and said, "I'm Mu Feilong. Brother Yi, you're overstepping your boundaries. This is a private matter of the Mu clan." "Who said it's a private matter of the Mu clan? This is my brother's business, so it's my business." Mu Feilong. "Never heard of you. Who do you think you are to call me brother?" Yi Qinghan retorted with disdain. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was full of confidence. With great sovereign Shura behind him, even if the Mu clan's master came personally, he wouldn't have to give face, let alone Mu Feilong. Bullying Lu Zhantian was the same as bullying the Guangzhong sect. A few words of mockery was already light. Moreover, he hadn't figured out the truth yet. If he did, he might just go up and slap him a few times. Mu Feilong's mouth twitched. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to not give face to him. He couldn't help but reveal a hint of killing intent. Yi Qinghan looked at Lu Zhantian covered in blood. He didn't even have a trace of divine power left. The Iron Dragon army was known as the Mu clan's trump card. The army of 300,000 was invincible. Now, less than 40,000 were left. It was obvious how cruel the battle was. "Brother Lu, what exactly happened? Why did they attack you?" Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Lu Zhantian was sad. In the end, he didn't want to fall out with the Mu clan. After all, his father was loyal to the Mu clan. Moreover, there was also Mu Xiaoqi. If they fell out, the Mu clan's master wouldn't let her marry him. "Forget it, brother Mu. It's my fault," Lu Zhantian whispered. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He snorted and said, "Tell me the truth." "Really? Brother Lu, take my 30,000 cavalry and leave. The Mu clan's master should be back soon. If we don't leave now, we won't have another chance." Lu Zhantian slowly stood up. His spear stabbed into the ground as he struggled to stand. At this moment, he was so tired that even opening his eyes was difficult. So what if the manor head is here? Today, the Mu clan must give me an explanation. Tell me the truth, and I will seek justice for you. Yi Qinghan said firmly. Chao Kun and the others were instantly disdainful, and they quickly surrounded him. Who do you think you are? What kind of explanation do you want? Mu Feilong asked angrily. If Grand Monarch Shura wasn't still standing there, he would have already charged at Yi Qinghan. Ha ha ha. No one knows this better than I do. Yi Qinghan, right? Your brother has suffered great humiliation today. He fought with me for several hours, and the Steel Dragon army and my army fought fiercely. Although we are enemies, I admire him. A perfect divine priest was actually able to suppress me, and his 300,000 Steel Dragon army was able to suppress my army of 1,000,000. To be honest, I've been in the army for so many years, but this is the first time I admire someone so much. Unfortunately, I supported the wrong person. Yi Qinghan stared at Pagreedy Wolf. He could see that he was like a lamp that had run out of oil. There must have been a great battle earlier. Continue speaking. I guarantee that your army won't have to worry. Yi Qinghan was incomparably arrogant and domineering. It was as if he could control the world yesterday. I don't expect you to be able to protect my shattering army residence, but I have to spit out what happened today. Pagreedy Wolf took a deep breath and said coldly, Lu Zhantian loyally protected his master and fought for the Mu residence. However, every time he was about to defeat me, Mu Feilong and the other so-called students of the Divine College would stab him in the back. They wanted to borrow my blade to kill Lu Zhantian. To be honest, I should thank them. Otherwise, my shattering army residence would have been defeated long ago. Lu Zhantian was fighting with his life on the line. I believe that with his ability to lead an army, he didn't need to take such risks if he wanted to reduce his losses and win against my shattering army residents. I guess he wanted to go back and reinforce your insane sect as soon as possible. If Mu Feilong and the others cooperated with him, my shattering army residents would have been defeated long ago. Unfortunately. Hahaha, you should understand what happened next. They knew that they couldn't win the hearts of the Steel Dragon army and were targeted by Lu Zhantian, so they wanted to kill Lu Zhantian. That's what happened next. Yi Qinghan's face was ashen. The 7-foot heavy hammer in his hand trembled and roared. The killing intent in his eyes had condensed into a solid form. I really didn't expect that your insane sect could be wiped out even with the Palace Lord of Gongyang Prefecture. It seems that our defeat will be at the hands of the insane sect. Patanlang stared at Yi Qinghan with a strange smile on his face. At this moment, he hoped that the insane sect and the Mu residents would start a war. Grand Sovereign Shura looked at Lu Zhantian and couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. Even an overlord would hope to have such a subordinate. Forget it, Qinghan. You know that I don't want to fall out with them. Let's go. Lu Zhantian didn't want to fall out with the Mu residents. He still had a glimmer of hope for Mu Xiaoqi. Go. Yi Qinghan snorted. Lu Zhantian had suffered such a great humiliation. It would be too easy for these bastards to leave now. To think that Tian Ke Divine Academy would actually nurture such trash. What an eye-opener for me. Yi Qinghan looked at Mu Feilong and the others with disdain. He stood with his saber in hand, waiting for the palace lord to come and seek justice for Lu Zhantian. Patanlang, don't talk nonsense. When did we sneak attack Lu Zhantian? We attacked from both sides and tried to outflank your army. However, our route was blocked and we couldn't help. What's wrong with that? In the end, we tore through your blockade and tried to rescue Lu Zhantian. However, he ordered the Iron Dragon army to charge at my army. He clearly wanted to betray us. Mu Feilong quibbled. He didn't want to lose the morale of the army. Once this matter was confirmed, who in the army would listen to him? Ordinary soldiers can't tell whether it's like what I said, but the high-ranking captains and middle-level priests can see it clearly. The Iron Dragon army also knows, let alone Lu Zhantian. Patanlang laughed wildly. At this moment, the Iron Dragon army finally couldn't hold back and roared. Half of the 300,000 soldiers of the Iron Dragon army died under Chieli's saber because the Mu Residence's army didn't come to help. None of the tactics we agreed on were completed. We're not afraid of death, but we're afraid of dying in vain. My young commander has fought on the battlefield for Mansion Master for 1,000 years and has accumulated a lot of military merits. Now, he's been plotted against by his own people. Young commander, do you still have hope for Mansion Master? That's right. Mansion Master will definitely help his own son. We're just blades that can be used. Now, the Iron Dragon army only has us left. Can we still be considered a trump card? Will Mansion Master really care about our feelings and punish the son he's most proud of? The Iron Dragon army cried in grief. They were unwilling to accept their sacrifice and felt pain for Lu Zhantian. A cold light flashed in Lu Zhantian's eyes, and he said hoarsely, I don't need justice, but my brothers need it. My 300,000 soldiers were all slaughtered in a single day. They really need justice. Mu Feilong, I've always treated you as an elder brother and was prepared to help you ascend the throne. I helped you expand your territory and become a king, but your actions today have disappointed me. Lu Zhantian roared angrily. Lu Zhantian, don't try to quibble. The army behind me saw with their own eyes that you sent troops to stop me. Everyone knows your goal. You wanted to kill me in the chaos and take over the Mu residence. You have wild ambitions, and you even want to marry my sister. You're simply dreaming. Mu Feilong coldly rebuked. Both sides had their own version of events. Yi Qinghan obviously chose to believe Lu Zhantian without hesitation. He didn't want to waste any more words and just waited for the Mu Residence's mansion master to return. If he didn't handle the situation well, he would forcefully take Mu Xiaoqi and Lu Zhantian away. The Mu Residence's mansion master was currently engaged in a fierce battle with the Army Destruction Mansion's mansion master. He glanced at the main battlefield and discovered that the battle had stopped. Moreover, there was an additional mansion master on the battlefield. He was immediately shocked and gave up on the battle to the death and rushed toward the main battlefield. Qinghan, why are you here? Where are the people from Gongyang Manor? Where is that old bastard Gongyang? The Mu Residence's mansion master was shocked. He couldn't believe that the Kuang sect could eliminate Gongyang Manor so quickly. Mansion master Gongyang is dead. As for why I'm here, naturally, it's because you have to give me an explanation. Yi Qinghan coldly said. The Mu Residence's mansion master was shocked. He thought that Yi Qinghan was angry at him for letting the people from Gongyang Manor out of Dongling Pass. He hurriedly explained, Qinghan, I understand you. That's why I only wanted you to hold off Gongyang Manor for the time being. I wanted to kill Army Destruction Mansion as soon as possible and then rush to your aid. Yi Qinghan looked at the Mu Residence's mansion master and noticed that there were indeed many wounds on his body. The injuries on the Army Destruction Mansion's mansion master were even more severe. It was obvious that he had really fought to the death. There weren't many mansion masters who were determined to fight to the death. At the very least, mansion master Gongyang didn't have the guts to do so. Humph, this isn't the explanation I want. It's brother Lu's. Since your Mu Residence doesn't put him in your eyes, then let me take him away. While you're at it, give me Mu Xiaoqi as well. You'd better not go back on your promise of marriage. Otherwise, I'll take it by force. Yi Qinghan coldly snorted and said. The Mu Residence's mansion master's heart sank. He scanned the battlefield and saw that there were less than 40,000 soldiers left in the Steel Dragon army. The ordinary main force was completely unharmed. He couldn't help but frown. What's going on? The mansion master looked at Mu Feilong and coldly reprimanded him. Mu Feilong was shocked. Yi Qinghan spoke to the mansion master in such a tone, but the mansion master didn't get angry. Instead, he questioned him. It was obvious how important Yi Qinghan was in the mansion master's heart. Can't you see? Your good son wanted to plot against brother Zhantian and almost buried the entire Steel Dragon army. In the end, he didn't succeed and sent the army to surround and kill him. I didn't see the beginning, but I saw everything clearly. Yi Qinghan said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan, it's fine if you listen to the nonsense of a villain. But now, you're slandering the relationship between father and son in front of the mansion master. What kind of man are you? Chao Gui said angrily. I'm slandering the relationship between father and son. You know best whether this is the truth or not. Do you dare to touch your conscience and say that you have nothing to do with the plot against Lu Zhantian? Yi Qinghan's murderous intent radiated in all directions. At this moment, he was trying his best to restrain himself. If it wasn't for the fact that the insane sect didn't have enough resources, he would have already crushed these students of the Divine Institute into pieces. Yi Qinghan, this is my Mu Residence's matter. Mu Feilong's face was ashen. He felt that he was losing his power step by step. His hatred for Yi Qinghan grew stronger and stronger. Chapter 598. Shut up. The Mu Residence master roared. At this moment, he believed in Yi Qinghan and Lu Zhantian. After all, he understood Lu Zhantian and Mu Feilong. If not for Yi Qinghan, it would have been a smart move to kill Lu Zhantian in this battle. However, Mu Feilong had missed out on one thing, and that was the crazy sect. Men, detain Mu Feilong. I will interrogate him personally. In order to maintain his relationship with Yi Qinghan, the Mu residence master decisively abandoned his most successful son. "Father! I am innocent." Mu Failong was shocked. He did not expect the Mu residence master to detain him without investigating. "Master!" Chao Kun and the rest were shocked. They looked at the Mu residence master in disbelief. How could the son of a divine college student be inferior to Yi Qinghan? "Chao Kun, you are all students of the divine college. I have no right to question you. Thank you for your help these days. I appreciate it. Send them off," the Mu residence master said in a muffled voice. Chao Kun's face was ashen. He thought his plan was perfect. However, because of Yi Qinghan's interference, he had gone for wool and come home shorn. Now, he looked at Yi Qinghan. He did not understand why the Mu residence master would choose Yi Qinghan and give up his own son, Mu Failong. "Humph. Master, it is unwise to listen to slander and abandon your own son. Moreover, Brother Failong is the direct disciple of Teacher Yanmen. If you want to deal with him, you should ask for Teacher Yanmen's opinion. This is all I have to say. I will take my leave now." Chao Kun and the rest looked at each other. They looked at Yi Qinghan with murderous eyes and left with a flick of their sleeves. Lu Zhantian couldn't help but sigh as he watched them leave. This time, Yi Qinghan had offended the God Institute. With these people spreading rumors, the students of God Institute would definitely target the crazy sect. The entire Sanqing kingdom would probably target the crazy sect. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. The Gongyang manor no longer belonged to the Gongyang clan. Now, the Quang sect should be taking over the Gongyang manor's territory. He didn't belong to the Sanqing divine kingdom, nor did he belong to the Holy Dragon Holy Kingdom. Even if the Tianke Divine College was unhappy with him, they couldn't do anything. Yi Qinghan asked Mu residence, but since the Mu residence has abandoned Lu and the Steel Dragon Army, I will accept them. From now on, Lu Zhantian will be a member of the crazy sect. You will not object? Mu. I will. You. You will you. You. You will not object. You. The Mu clan head frowned. At this moment, the outcome of the battle with Lu Zhantian had yet to be determined. It would be unwise to offend Lu Zhantian now. However, Lu Zhantian was the most unyielding young commander of the Mu clan's military. Qinghan, this matter has nothing to do with me. I did not know that my unfilial son would do such a stupid thing. Please do not take it to heart. Allow me to settle the final battle. I will give you and Zhantian an explanation. How about that? Yi Qinghan's attitude was firm. There was no room for negotiation. The Mu could not help but look at Lu Zhantian. Lu Zhantian clenched his fists. Today's events had hurt him deeply. 300,000 Steel Dragon Army soldiers had died because of Mu Failong. If they continued to be loyal to the Mu clan, let alone him, even the remaining 30,000 Steel Dragon Army soldiers would be bitterly disappointed. The Mu residence no longer has the Steel Dragon Army. Uncle, from now on, you are no longer my mansion lord, but my relative. If you still recognize me, then I will still be your nephew. If you don't, then in the future, when we meet on the battlefield, I will definitely retreat. Lu Zhantian said in a low voice as he knelt down on one knee. The Mu residence took a deep breath. He did not expect Lu Zhantian to be so determined to leave. What about Shaoqi? What about your father? Don't you want him? If you hurt him because of the wyvern, then kill him right now. I won't frown. The Mu residence said angrily. Zhantian wouldn't dare. Although he wants to kill me, he is still my elder brother and Shaoqi's elder brother. As for my father, he is still loyal to the Mu residence. Otherwise, he would not still be guarding the Mu residence's main city. Uncle, there is no need to implicate him. Lu Zhantian cupped his fists and said. I don't want Heavenly Sword Hall, but I want Mu Xiaoqi. Back then, you were the one who promised me that as long as my son or I beat Lu Zhantian, you would marry Mu Xiaoqi to Lu Zhantian. Even if he left the Mu clan now, you must fulfill your promise. Yi Qinghan said tyrannically. Crack. Grand Monarch Shura clenched his fists and walked forward. He looked at the Mu Residence's master provocatively and smiled evilly. Anyone who bullies my junior brother is my enemy. I've already killed that so-called Master Gong Yang. Do you want to have a taste of my fist? The Mu Residence's master took several steps back and looked at Grand Monarch Shura with a pale face. Since Grand Monarch Shura claimed to be Yi Qinghan's senior brother, his identity was self-evident. He must be the Nine Serenities Master's disciple. Greetings, fellow Taoist. I don't mean that. Fellow Taoist, please don't misunderstand. Since Qinghan wants to take Zhantian away, I have no objection. If you want to take Xiaoqi away, I have no objection either. I can rest assured that Xiaoqi will be with Zhantian. The Mu Residence's master compromised without hesitation. He knew that he was no match for Grand Monarch Shura. Shura had crossed planes and his strength was suppressed, but he could still kill Master Gong Yang so quickly. It was obvious that he was an overlord in the Nine Serenities. He was most likely a superior god priest. How could he dare to compete with a superior god priest? The people of the Nine Serenities were different from the experts of other planes. The people of the Nine Serenities were a bunch of dead people who could no longer be accommodated by heaven and earth. Once they left the Nine Serenities, their strength would be suppressed by more than 90%. That was why the Mu Residence's master had made such a conjecture. However, his conjecture was correct. As one of the three great overlords of the Nine Serenities, even if they were weaker than the divine lords of the three divine kingdoms, the difference wouldn't be too great. Humph, at least you know your place, Shura Overlord snorted coldly. The Mu Residence's master smiled bitterly. He didn't dare to say much to Shura Overlord, so he turned to Lu Zhantian and said, Zhantian, I have mistreated you all these years. However, your father and I only wanted to nurture you. Your father loves you more than anyone else. Sigh. The Mu Residence will always be your home. When you have time, bring Xiaoqi back to visit. Now, go back to the Mu Residence and pick up Xiaoqi. Lu Zhantian was so exhausted that he couldn't even stand up. In the end, Yi Qinghan reached out and helped him up. Then, he led the remaining 30,000 or so Iron Dragon army soldiers and left the battlefield with firm steps. The Mu Residence's army was dispirited, and the army-shattering Residence's army had suffered heavy losses. They couldn't fight anymore. Because of Grand Monarch Shura's appearance, the two Residence Masters were worried that Yi Qinghan would suddenly come back and take over the three great residents. Therefore, they both wanted to stop the battle. The Mu Residence's master stared at army-shattering Residence and asked with a hoarse voice transmission, Tell me, why did your two residents suddenly attack my Mu Residence? Why didn't the three divine kingdoms do anything? I don't know. The higher-ups of the divine kingdoms only ordered me to lead the army to attack the Mu Residence, army-shattering Residence replied with a deep voice transmission. Damn those higher-ups, they actually abandoned the Mu Residence. They destroyed my Mu Residence. I will naturally seek justice. The Mu Residence's master was furious. He gathered the remaining soldiers and began to leave the battlefield and tidy up the old mountains and rivers. There were only 56 Residence Masters in the entire plain. Any one of them could shake mountains and rivers with a stomp of their feet. The Iron Dragon army was stationed outside Dongling Pass and began to recover their strength. Yi Qinghan and Grand Monarch Shura rushed to the Mu Residence with Lu Zhantian. This distance wasn't a problem for Shura. They arrived at the Mu Residence's main city in just an hour. Lu Jing couldn't help but feel heartache when he saw Lu Zhantian covered in wounds. However, he didn't voice his concern. Instead, he asked, how's the situation at the front? Lu Zhantian shook his head and said hoarsely, perhaps, we won. Father, from now on, I am no longer the Mu Residence's commander. I hope you are well. After saying this, he resolutely stepped into the Mu residence and took Mu Xiaoqi out of the residence. Then, he endured his exhaustion and prepared to return to Dongling Pass. Mu Xiaoqi and Lu Zheng looked at Lu Zhantian's gloomy and resentful face. They didn't know how to ask him why he made such a decision. Mu Xiaoqi looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping he could give her an answer. Yi Qinghan sighed and said in a low voice, "Seventh princess, don't ask. I believe brother Lu won't mistreat you. If you don't want to go with him, I won't force you. I'm willing to go, but I want to know the reason." Mu Xiaoqi said in a low voice. Lu Zhantian shook his head and signaled Yi Qinghan not to tell Mu Xiaoqi the truth. He didn't want her to get involved. Yi Qinghan didn't say much, but Grand Monarch Shura raised his eyebrows and said, "This kind of thing can't be hidden. She will find out sooner or later. Why are you two men acting like women? Since you don't want to talk, I will. Your name is Mu Xiaoqi, right? In order to seize power, your brother plotted against your husband and even plotted against his Steel Dragon army. More than 300,000 Steel Dragon army soldiers were wiped out. This is the reason why he left the Mu clan." Mu Xiaoqi and Lu Jing trembled. They were stunned by this news. They didn't think this was the reason. Filong wanted to kill my son. Lu Jing took a few steps back. He thought about how he had given up almost everything for the Mu residence all these years and didn't get anything in return. Instead, he got such a ridiculous ending. Uncle doesn't know about this. Mu Filong is now in Uncle's custody. Don't be sad, father. I'm leaving. Lu Zhantian didn't want to stay in the Mu residence any longer. He pulled Mu Xiaoqi and waited for Grand Monarch Shura to take them away. Yi Qinghan nodded. Grand Monarch Shura took the three of them and went straight to Dongling Pass. Outside Dongling Pass, after a day of rest, the Iron Dragon army had completely transformed. The remaining soldiers were the real elites. They would never abandon their commander. This was the real trump card. At this moment, the inner sect of the eccentric sect had reorganized the Gongyang Prefecture army. Almost half of them were killed. Anyone who was eliminated by Emperor Yi was killed. Blood flowed like rivers and corpses piled up like mountains. The star-twisting vine had swallowed countless corpses. It was almost ready to evolve again. With a total of 1 million vines, it was equivalent to an army. As long as it could protect its main body, it could destroy the entire eccentric sect. Zhuge Xianqing looked at Emperor Yi and said respectfully, "Madam, this is the best time to take over Gongyang Prefecture. Otherwise, if the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom realizes this and sends people to take over in advance, we won't have a chance. Let's go. That's the eccentric sect's territory." Emperor Yi led the army to Gongyang Prefecture without hesitation. Gongyang Prefecture was not far from Xixia Mountain. As long as they passed through the Gan Mountain Range and the Jinan Pass in the southeast, they would be in Gongyang Prefecture's territory. Gongyang Prefecture's territory was 300 billion square kilometers, which was the size of the Mu residence. It looked small compared to the endless plains, but this was a middle plain. It couldn't be compared at all. Zhuge Xianqing had been loyal to Gongyang Prefecture for so many years. He knew this place very well. First, the army passed through, forcibly uprooted the major cities and counties, and reinstated the county gods. These county gods could not be trusted at all. 3,000 cities and counties were uprooted by the eccentric sect in 3 days and 3 nights. The army snowballed from 300,000 to 1 million, and finally to 1,500,000. The immortal guards of the major cities and counties were all taken over, and the guilty were all killed without mercy. The eccentric sect was swift and decisive. By the time the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom realized this, Gongyang Prefecture was already under the control of the eccentric sect. They did not give up an inch of land, and all the major fortresses were taken over by the army. Chapter 599. The change of Gongyang Prefecture's master and Quang Zong's replacement shocked the entire world. Two prefectures attacked the Mu clan, but they didn't gain anything. Instead, one of them was destroyed. Not to mention the other prefectures, even the three divine nations were stunned. Quang Zong established his own prefecture, Quang Prefecture. Prefecture Lord Yi Qinghan had 2 million soldiers. Even the Mu clan lost a part of their territory, but their prefecture lord didn't dare to ask for it. Yi Qinghan didn't go overboard. He retreated most of the territories, but Black Moon County, Deities County, and the Southern Mountain Pass were the main passageways to the Endless Plains. Yi Qinghan sent troops to guard them. No one could leave. When the Mu clan saw Yi Qinghan retreating most of their territory, their prefecture lord wanted to thank Yi Qinghan instead. He took the initiative to help Yi Qinghan defend the Endless Plains. Sanqing Divine Nation quickly sent an envoy to Quang Prefecture with a letter from their prince, hoping that Yi Qinghan would submit to Sanqing Divine Nation. The special envoy's status was not small. He was a prince called Tai Qingxian. However, he was not favored and could be considered inferior. Tai Qingxian was young, but he wasn't impetuous. He had the dignity of a royal family and knew when to advance and when to retreat. The 3 god slaves he brought were also polite, afraid of offending the rising star. Yi Qinghan didn't let Tai Qingxian meet Shura. He received him personally. There was a courtyard with verdant hills and limpid waters. Divine energy filled the air, making it seem like a paradise with flowers and butterflies dancing in the air. Yi Qinghan and Tai Qingxian walked side by side. They came to a pavilion and sat opposite each other. Your presence brings light to Quang Zong's humble dwelling. I wonder if you're here for yourself or for the divine nation's letter. Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Fellow Taoist Yi is a dragon among men. 3 days ago, I heard that fellow Taoist used 100,000 third-rate troops to flatten the main force of nearly 1 million people in Gongyang Prefecture. I admire you very much, so I specially requested to pay you a visit, not only for the divine nation, but also to make friends with fellow Taoist. Tai Qingxian smiled, looked at Yi Qinghan, and got straight to the point. Fellow Taoist, you should know that the Divine Kingdom's monarch usually ascends to the throne after 30,000 years. The selection of monarch depends on the prestige of the princes and the support of the various prefecture lords. Yi Qinghan nodded, indicating for Tai Qingxian to continue. Tai Qingxian sat up straight and looked at Yi Qinghan as if they were equals. He said in a deep voice, although I am a prince, I have yet to obtain the support of any of the manor lords. My 3 pure divine kingdom has a total of 3 royal families and 20 manor lords. There are many princes but not many manor lords. With the addition of the Academy of Divinity, there are 30 manor lords. If I want to ascend to the throne as the divine lord, I must obtain the support of at least half of the manor lords. Prince, you want me to support you as the manor lord of Quang Manor? But I'm not the manor lord of 3 pure divine kingdom. Are you looking for the wrong person? You should be looking for the Mu Manor, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Tai Qingxian was gentle and refined. He did not get angry but smiled instead. Qingxian naturally knows that the Quang sect seized the territory of the Gongyang Prefecture, and the Gongyang Prefecture took the initiative to attack the Quang sect. They deserved it and the 3 divine kingdoms could not say anything about it. Now, the Quang sect has become a big sect independent of the 3 divine kingdoms. However, the Quang sect will have to pick a side sooner or later and cannot become the 4th divine kingdom. Otherwise, the 3 divine kingdoms would not agree. Moreover, Qingxian already knows a fellow Taoist Ye's background. You are from the Endless Plains affiliated with the 3 pure divine kingdoms. Yi Qinghan sneered and shook his head. He said rudely, "It seems that Prince Qing Xian is not suitable to be a lobbyist. The person I pledge my loyalty to must first give me enough benefits. Secondly, he can't give me up just like that. That's what I want. I don't have a sense of belonging to the three pure divine kingdom or the sacred dragon divine kingdom. If you want me to have a sense of belonging, you have to give me enough benefits in exchange. All other national interests are nonsense." Tai Qingxian was stunned. He didn't know how to respond to Yi Qinghan's words. He had never met such a straightforward person. "If Prince Qing Xian isn't ready, you can go back and think it over before telling me. However, please take a look at the map. Pejuan Manor, Mu Manor, and Gongyang Manor are at the intersection of the three divine kingdoms. They have border contact with any divine kingdom. I believe the other two divine kingdoms will be interested." Yi Qinghan said coldly. "This. Qing Xian said the wrong thing. I hope Manor Lord Yi can forgive me." After all, Tai Qingxian was too young. Compared to Yi Qinghan, an iron-blooded man who had rolled on the tip of a blade, he was not just a little bit better. "Your attitude is not bad if you want to become the divine lord of the divine kingdom. However, you lack more than a little bit. I don't think you are qualified to sit on the throne, at least not now," Yi Qinghan said frankly. Tai Qingxian lacked experience and didn't know the ways of the world. He didn't know how to be iron-blooded and tyrannical. He was almost a blank piece of paper. The education he received was also to follow the rules. He was suitable to be a noble lord. However, he was far from being a crown prince or a divine lord. Yi Qinghan thought Tai Qingxian would be angry. However, Tai Qingxian suddenly stood up and bowed. "Please teach me. There is still some time before the crown prince election. As long as Manor Lord Yi is willing to teach me, I am smart enough to learn. If I can ascend the throne, Manor Lord Yi will definitely be the state preceptor. You can choose any resources in the world. Why are you so keen on the throne?" Yi Qinghan asked curiously. However, his heart was pounding. If he helped Tai Qingxian ascend the throne, he and the Guangzhong would be above the divine kingdom. "I want to take revenge. I want to destroy the other two royal families. Please teach me." Tai Qingxian suddenly knelt down. In order to get Yi Qinghan's support, he gave up his dignity as a royal family. "Your enemies are the other two royal clans, the Prime Clear and Jade Clear royal clans." Yi Qinghan was shocked. According to Grand Monarch Shura, the Sanqing Divine Kingdom was established by three martial brothers. They were Shangqing, Yuqing, and Taiqing. Since then, the three royal families had taken the names of the three supreme masters as their surnames. The three clans protected each other and became the strongest forces in the mythical plane. However, in recent years, there were more and more conflicts in the Sanqing Divine Kingdom, especially among the three royal families. There was a trend of splitting into three kingdoms. However, he did not expect the internal hatred to develop to this extent. "Yes. Back then, my father had the support of half of the manor lords. It was already set in stone that he would become the crown prince of the divine kingdom. However, the Yuqing and Shangqing princes joined forces to assassinate him. I was reduced to a marginal royal family prince. My mother was depressed and finally committed suicide in Tai Qingxian Manor. All of this was given to me by Shangqing and Yuqing. Therefore, I want to ascend the throne and destroy the two royal families." Tai Qingxian stared at Yi Qinghan and revealed all the secrets in his heart without any hesitation. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at Tai Qingxian and rejected him without hesitation. He said indifferently, "You are not suitable to be the divine lord. Manor Lord Yi thinks that I cannot be raised." Tai Qingxian frowned and asked. "Yes. I am worried that I won't live to see tomorrow if I work with you." Yi Qinghan didn't want to say more and gestured for him to leave. "Mister, please be clearer. I am risking everything by telling you the secrets in my heart. Shouldn't Mr. let me know before I die? Tai Ching-hsien remained kneeling on the ground and asked in a low voice. The surroundings were quiet. Even the birds stopped chirping. The willow branches swayed and fell onto the lake. Yi Qinghan frowned at Tai Ching-hsien. He really didn't understand how someone like him could survive until now. He asked, "Do you understand me? Why did you tell me your hatred? If I was a greedy person, I only need to send a letter to the Yuqing and Shangqing royal families and your Tai Ching-hsien lineage would be completely massacred. You are too impulsive. You are gambling with your life. You don't know the price. This is the first time I have seen such an ignorant prince. But Mr. isn't that kind of person, is he? All these years, I haven't revealed my thoughts at all. I only revealed them when I saw Mr. Yi and felt that he was trustworthy. Don't tell me that you think I'm an impulsive person who casually reveals my thoughts." Tai Ching-hsien smiled bitterly. You felt that you were trustworthy. You should know that if your feelings are wrong, your entire clan will be dead. You won't even have a chance to escape. If this isn't impulsiveness, then what is? No one in the world is worthy of your trust in such an important matter. If I were you, I would choose to work with you slowly until you become the Divine Lord. Only then would I tell you my goal and enter the second level of cooperation. I wouldn't reveal my secrets to others before we even started working together. This is why I don't want to work with you." Yi Qinghan said coldly. Tai Ching-hsien was stunned. All these years, he felt that he had no chance. Only when Yi Qinghan suddenly appeared did he become ecstatic. He wanted to rope him in regardless of the cost, but this became Yi Qinghan's reason to reject him. "Mister, please give me a chance. If I don't know anything, Mister can teach me. I am willing to learn. I still have 100 years. I believe that you can refine me into steel. Does Mr. Yi not have this confidence?" Tai Ching-hsien didn't want to give up this last chance. He couldn't give it up. Only by working with Yi Qinghan would Yi Qinghan not betray him. However, he really regretted telling Yi Qinghan his secret. Yi Qinghan looked at Tai Ching-hsien and smiled evilly. He whispered, "There is no steel in this world that I can't refine. Since you have this will, I will fulfill your wish. Now that you are no longer a prince, follow Lu Outyen as an ordinary person. He should be able to teach you how to be a prince and a king." "Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Ching-hsien will not let you down." Tai Ching-hsien was overjoyed and kept kowtowing. Yi Qinghan lifted his leg and kicked Tai Ching-hsien more than 10 meters away. He fell into the lake and coldly scolded, "You are still so incompetent. You are a prince and an existence that aspires to be the king of a divine nation. If you don't have a bit of dignity, how can you achieve great things in the future? Remember, you and I are working together. You need to be neither servile nor overbearing. In the future, you need to have the same attitude when working with others. Don't be so grateful when others agree to help you. How can others trust you?" Tai Ching-hsien climbed out of the lake with a wry smile. He was afraid of Yi Qinghan in his heart. When he faced Yi Qinghan, it was different from when he faced other people. He couldn't help but respect him. "Tell me, what benefits did the Sanqing divine nation give me in order to make me submit?" Yi Qinghan asked. Chapter 600. In the courtyard, Yi Qinghan listened to Tai Chingxuan's promise. The Sanqing divine kingdom had given the crazed manor a high degree of autonomy. They had also given Yi Qinghan a large amount of military equipment and provisions to stabilize the crazed manor's territory. They had even promised that as long as the crazed manor was loyal to the Sanqing divine kingdom, they would be willing to give them a divine crystal mine. Yi Qinghan shrugged. It wasn't easy to get benefits from the three clear divine kingdom, as it would be equivalent to pledging loyalty to them. "Tell the divine kingdom that I am not interested in joining any country for the time being." Yi Qinghan said. This was the best time to ask for benefits. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no more. Yi Qinghan did not want to submit to anyone. He wanted to stand outside the rules and set the rules himself. He did not want to listen to others' orders. The Mu manor was considered powerful, but to the divine kingdom, giving up just like that was the tragedy of being within the rules. Tai Qingxian finally understood how far a person in a high position could see. He sent a message to the prince assistant to inform him of Yi Qinghan's attitude. He also explained that he would be traveling outside for some time and would not be returning to the divine kingdom for the time being. The divine kingdom did not care about an unfavored prince like Tai Qingxian, so they did not say much. The next day, the special envoys from the Sacred Dragon Divine Kingdom and the Powu Divine Kingdom arrived at the same time. Both envoys were smart and did not show any arrogance. They knew that Yi Qinghan had a powerful mansion master backing him. As for whether the mansion master had a strong backer, only Yi Qinghan knew. So when they landed outside the crazed manor, they bowed and asked to see Yi Qinghan. The royal family of the Sacred Dragon Divine Kingdom claimed to have the bloodline of the Chaos Dragon. No one knew if it was true or not, but their dragon bloodline was definitely very high. The Sacred Dragon Special Envoy's dragon bloodline was almost on par with the divine dragon in Di Longtian's body. He was a powerful prince of the Sacred Dragon Divine Kingdom and a famous strong fighter of the younger generation. His cultivation had reached the realm of a mid-level god and was far from what Patanlang and Gongyang Motian could compare to. His name was Long Nest, ranked 8th in the royal family. He preferred to be called the 8th prince. He had an easygoing personality, but he was addicted to alcohol and loved making friends. He wandered about the mundane world, lusting after beauties, but not power. That was why he was liked by the other princes and wanted his support. The Sacred Dragon Divine Kingdom had sent Long Nest because of his ability to make friends. The other was a prince of the Powu Divine Kingdom. Powu was a very strange surname. It was rumored that the great ancestor of the Powu Divine Kingdom had entered the Tao through martial arts and broke the shackles of the high-level gods. He disappeared from the middle plane and entered the upper plane. Since then, the royal family of the Powu Divine Kingdom had changed their name to Powu. However, it was only a rumor. No one had seen the great ancestor of Powu Divine Kingdom prove his Tao and become a master god. Most people thought that the Powu Divine Kingdom was just blowing their own trumpet. Powu Qingfeng was as elegant as jade and 8 feet tall. His royal bloodline exuded waves of pressure that was not inferior to the special bloodline of the Stan Huangtian. At this moment, he was holding a famous ancient sword named Emperor Yuan. It was a top divine sword among the mid-level divine weapons and ranked 8th among the mid-level divine weapons. It would be an insult to the Emperor Yuan to cut off a strand of hair. It could flatten a famous mountain with a wave of its hand. The 8th prince of the Dragon Nest and Powu Qingfeng were dressed in divine robes. They stepped on a giant dragon and held a dragon throne in their hands. Their auras were like rainbows. Before they even saw Yi Qinghan, they had already started fighting. Clearly, they wanted to force the other party to retreat. The two of them had similar combat strength. They stared at each other. Although there was a desire to fight, there was no hostility. After a long time, the two of them were evenly matched. They gradually restrained their desire to fight and waited for Yi Qinghan to appear. Yi Qinghan did not appear for a long time. Even the inner sect of the insane sect had disappeared. Powu Qingfeng could not help but frown and whisper, "Didn't they say that there were many high-level masters in the insane sect? Why didn't anyone come out to greet him? We just have to wait patiently. Perhaps the people of the insane sect are all in seclusion. Or perhaps the insane sect has just been established and the inner sect's high-level masters have all gone to inspect the major cities and counties." Although the 8th prince of the Dragon Nest was somewhat dissatisfied with the insane sect's neglect, he still found excuses for the insane sect. After half an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinghan arrived late. Looking at the two of them, he could not help but marvel at the strength of the imperial family of the three divine kingdoms. Any random prince would have such a majestic aura. I've had some enlightenment recently, so I didn't know that the two of you were coming. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said. Please come in. Let me entertain you. Dragon Nest and Po Wu Qingfeng quickly said that it was fine. They were here for peace. If they offended Yi Qinghan, they would have come for nothing. Furthermore, they had offended a powerful sect. The gains did not make up for the losses. Brother Yi, I heard that the insane sect has countless masters. How come I don't see any of them today? Dragon Nest looked around curiously and found that there was not a single decent master in the huge insane sect. There were only a few servants and guards. Not a single inner sect master was present. The two of you should know that the insane sect has been in a state of war for the past few days. They have all had some enlightenment and have gone into seclusion. They are only my friends, not my subordinates. Therefore, I have never restrained them. Yi Qinghan explained with a smile. When the two heard this, the resentment in their hearts disappeared. Especially Dragon Nest, he said apologetically, Brother Yi, the sacred dragon divine kingdom is very uneasy about the calamity that Gongyang Manor has brought to the insane sect. This was not the divine kingdom's intention, but Gongyang Manor's recklessness. I hope Brother Yi will not blame the divine kingdom. My emperor specially ordered me to come and offer 10 million divine crystals, 100 million mid-grade divine crystals, 100 million low-grade divine crystals, and 100,000 divine sparks. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. The divine kingdom was really generous. They were willing to offer so much just for an apology. However, the sacred dragon divine kingdom was indeed more generous than the three pure divine kingdom. Perhaps it was because the insane sect's territory originally belonged to them and they did not want to lose it. Dragon Nest offered a yin-yang ring. The space inside was equivalent to a large city. It was a world of its own. Just this yin-yang ring alone was priceless. Mr. Yi, this is the divine kingdom's apology. We have no other requests. We hope Mr. Yi will accept it. Dragon Nest said indifferently. The value of this yin-yang ring might be huge in Yi Qinghan's eyes, but to Dragon Nest, it was just average. It was nothing. Any prince could afford it. After all, the sacred dragon divine kingdom was rich in resources and minerals. They did not lack this little bit. Yi Qinghan reached out and took the yin-yang ring. After the Emperor Blood recognized him as its master, he looked at the dazzling divine crystals in the space and accepted it without hesitation. Ahem, Po Wu Qingfeng was a little embarrassed. The sacred dragon divine kingdom was generous, but it did not mean that the Po Wu divine kingdom was also generous. The Po Wu divine kingdom was poor and had very little resources. Everyone knew that they were stingy. The Po Wu divine kingdom had always wanted to expand their territory and change their fate. They wanted to change the environment of the Po Wu divine kingdom. Yi Qinghan's insane sect was very important to the Po Wu divine kingdom. They wanted Yi Qinghan to submit, but they did not want to give him any benefits. No amount of verbal promises would be able to move Yi Qinghan. Please come in. Tai Xianqing of the Three Pure Divine Kingdom is also here. You two can have a chat. Yi Qinghan smiled. He had already discussed this plan with Tai Xianqing. Tai Xianqing would help raise the status of the insane sect to gain more benefits. Therefore, he had discussed with Tai Xianqing and left the two princes outside for so long. Knowing that Tai Xianqing was also here, the two of them frowned. They felt that today's matter was not going to be easy. In the main hall of the insane sect, Tai Xianqing was wearing a divine robe. His back was facing the door. Looking at the attire of the insane sect, it was very classical. Many of the ancient antiques were taken by the divine bird from the witch god's tomb. At this moment, they were placed here as decorations. At this moment, the insane sect looked like an existence with a rich history. When Long Nian and Po Wu Qingfeng entered the main hall, they were stunned by the furnishings. They were all people with good taste and were knowledgeable. With one look, they could tell that these items were of extraordinary origin. Moreover, they had tens of thousands of years of history. They were even older than the history of a divine kingdom. "Brother Yi, where did you get these things?" Po Wu Qingfeng asked in shock. "They look like items from the ancient witch tribe." "Brother Yi can't be from the witch tribe, right?" Long Nian quickly asked. "I found them by chance." "Do I look like a witch?" Yi Qinghan shrugged. "Please take a seat." Yi Qinghan clapped his hands and said to a guard, "Go and prepare a table of good food and wine. Then, bring me the wine I personally brewed." The four of them were sizing up the luxurious yet simple main hall. If one said it was simple, then it was indeed simple. It was simple and elegant, without the brilliance of the walls. If one said it was luxurious, then that was because many antiques were put up for auction. They would be highly sought after by many collectors and were priceless. However, the two paintings on the two sides of the hall stunned Long Nian. He stared at them with infatuation and almost drooled. On the left was a painting of Ren Huangyi playing the guqin, and on the right was a painting of Medusa dancing. Both paintings were completely natural and lifelike, as if they were about to walk out of the painting. These two paintings had been placed up by Ren Huangyi himself. His purpose was to remind Yi Qinghan that he already had two treasures in his home, and that he shouldn't fool around outside. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to hang up the paintings, which would invite the ridicule of many in the inner sect. "Brother Yi, can you sell these two paintings? Name a price." "I won't bargain," Long Nian said excitedly. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and shook his head. "They are not for sale. My beloved wife specially put them up. Brother Long, please don't make things difficult for me." "Where's your wife?" "I'll discuss it with her." Long Nian seemed to have forgotten his purpose and stared at the two paintings. Yi Qinghan was speechless and said helplessly, "How can she sell her own paintings?" "Brother Long, this painting is not from a famous artist. It's not worth much. Let's talk about the purpose of your visit." "What? They are your wives?" Long Nian did not believe it. How could there be such otherworldly women in this world? Even the top 10 beauties of the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom combined could not compare to these two. Even Qingfeng was in disbelief. When he got closer, he realized that the ink had not dried. It must have been painted not long ago. It really was not an ancient painting. The one playing the zither is. Yi Qinghan looked at Long Nian staring at Emperor Ye's painting. Although he was proud, he was also dissatisfied. He was confident that no one in this world was more perfect than Emperor Yi. No one could touch him. Chapter 601. Yi Qinghan was a little impatient and forcefully changed the topic. The dragon's lair kept harping on Ren Huangye's portrait. "Everyone, please state your intentions. I'm going into seclusion, so I won't have time to entertain you the next time you come," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Tai Qingxian immediately said excitedly, "Manor Lord Yi, on behalf of the three clear divine nations, I congratulate you on becoming a manor lord and a manor lord. You're from the three clear divine nations, so we're willing to grant you the title of king with a different surname. We'll reward you with 3 god crystal mines, tax-free, and a high degree of autonomy. We'll also subsidize your military budget with 30 million mid-grade god crystals every year." Dragon Lair and Martial Polishing Qingfeng rolled their eyes. How was this recruiting Yi Qinghan? This was taking insane manor back and worshipping it like an ancestor. Yi Qinghan nodded slightly and pretended to think about it. Tai Qingxuan's cooperation was flawless. In order to give Dragon Lair and Martial Polishing Qingfeng hope, he added a difficult request at the end, which was to hand over a hostage to a divine nation. Normally, a manor lord would hand over a hostage to a divine nation. Although it was called a hostage, it was actually just that the hostage couldn't leave the divine nation's main city. They had a high degree of freedom, which was even more comfortable than being a manor lord's successor. Most importantly, the divine nation and manor lord would provide them with a large amount of resources. In the end, none of the hostages were successful. They were all hopeless good-for-nothings. Yi Qinghan decisively rejected Tai Qingxian and said coldly, "Insane manor doesn't need anyone to be a hostage. There's no room for negotiation. I want the insane manor to stand outside the rules. I do things based on my feelings. If I'm willing to do something, I won't force it. If I'm not willing to do it, no one can order me around. It's the same for the divine lords. As for things that have nothing to do with me, it'll depend on the benefits." When Dragon Lair and Martial Polishing Qingfeng saw Yi Qinghan reject Tai Qingxuan's request, they were immediately interested. However, they also understood Yi Qinghan's bottom line. He didn't just want benefits, he wanted to stand outside the rules. A divine nation would never allow a manor head to stand outside of the rules. This had never happened since ancient times. A manor head had to be bound by a divine nation. Yi Qinghan's request was something that the three divine nations could not accept. Could it be that the two of you are here for the same reason as the Sanqing Divine Kingdom? Do you want me to send a hostage over? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. His tone was calm, but it was overbearing and unquestionable. If anyone dared to mention the hostage, there would be no room for discussion. Well, my emperor didn't make such a request. However, my divine kingdom isn't as wealthy as the Sanqing Divine Kingdom. But I can guarantee that if Brother Yi joins my martial divine kingdom, you will be treated well. Martial Qingfeng said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. In this era, benefits were the most important. Even if you wanted to make friends, you also had to look at the other party. For people like Lu Zhantian, he would rather put in more effort. As for these princes, he didn't dare to flatter them. Between princes, benefits were the most important thing. They would even kill their own brothers, why would they care about outsiders? There's no need to talk about hostages. I believe in Brother Ye's character. Once you pledge your loyalty, you won't betray us. However, I don't think the three divine kingdoms will agree to this, right? Long Nian frowned. Whether they agree or not depends on their sincerity. Yi Qinghan said calmly. The four of them remained silent. But soon, Kuang Fu brought over a large amount of delicacies. Yi Qinghan even personally brewed some good wine. Although it wasn't much, it was enough to deal with the guests. I, Yi Qinghan, have just arrived at the mythical realm. I don't want to be enemies with anyone. I hope that everyone can understand that if I wasn't forced into a corner, I wouldn't have destroyed Gongyang Prefecture. So, if you want to be friends with me, I will naturally treat you as a friend. If you want to be enemies with me, I, Kuang Fu, will not sit still and wait for death. Yi Qinghan said casually. What he wanted was an equal status. His words made Tai Qingxian break out in cold sweat. Long Nian laughed. He was also shocked by Yi Qinghan's straightforwardness. If Yi Qinghan was an ordinary rogue cultivator, he would definitely be friends with him. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan was a rising powerhouse of the new generation. He was destined to be glorious or die young. He had to be careful when interacting with him, so he was destined to be unable to become close friends with him. Polaris Qingfeng narrowed his eyes at Yi Qinghan. He knew that Yi Qinghan had a powerful backer behind him. However, Yi Qinghan's backer was merely a prefecture master. The Scandinavian nation didn't care about him at all. What the Scandinavian nation was worried about was whether Yi Qinghan's backer was just a prefecture master or a powerful sect. The three divine kingdoms had already investigated the battle in Guangfu. How could they not know that Grand Sovereign Shura and Yi Qinghan had called each other brothers? Come, come. Let's drink and eat. Even if business doesn't work out, we'll still be friends. I, Yi Qinghan, love to make friends and drink. I brewed this wine myself. It's called, Drunken God Brew. Have a taste. Yi Qinghan stood up and poured a cup for the three of them. The fragrance of the wine assailed their noses. Long Nian was overjoyed. He loved beautiful women and wine the most. He forgot his purpose as soon as he smelled the wine. The moment the wine entered his stomach, a fiery and domineering energy swooped down on his sea of consciousness. Even the souls of the gods couldn't bear it. The moment the wine entered his stomach, the three princes' auras changed drastically. They became extremely domineering, as if emperors had descended. They felt as if they were divine lords. This cup of drunken god brew. A mouse would fight a cat after drinking it, and a prince would call a divine lord brother after drinking it. The taste was too domineering, too wild, and intoxicating to the soul. Good wine. This is the strongest wine I've ever drunk in my life. It's worthy of being called drunken god brew. Even a superior god would get drunk after drinking it, let alone an intermediate god. Long Nian's face was red, and his body was burning. He couldn't think straight. This wine is also called drunken spirit. I brewed it for the prefectural army generals. I only have a few jars left. You'll be the first to drink it. Yi Qinghan was a domineering and wild person. This wine was originally meant for generals like Lu Zhantian to drink. Once it was sold, a jar would be worth 10,000 divinity crystals. If it was auctioned, Long Nian would probably be willing to pay 100,000 divinity crystals for it. Princes, how much can you sell this wine for? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. It's hard to get. I'm willing to pay 100,000 divinity crystals. Long Nian looked at the jar in Yi Qinghan's hand and smacked his lips. It's too domineering. Normal people wouldn't be able to handle it. It's indeed suitable for an army. If it's a bit less intense, 10,000 divinity crystals would be enough to buy it. I wonder if Brother Yi can sell the recipe to me. Po Wu Qingfeng seemed to have found a way to make a fortune. Po Wu didn't have any mineral resources. With this wine, would Po Wu divine nation still lack divinity crystals? Would they still lack divinity crystals? Yi Qinghan shook his head and suggested, of course I won't sell the recipe, but I can work with the three princes and earn money together. I'll stand outside the rules while you guys sell the wine within the rules. The profit will be split 40 to 60. I'll take 60%, you guys take 40%. Having the princes of the three divine nations work for him was the perfect plan. Of course, the three clear divine nation didn't need Tai Ching Xian, and he didn't have the qualifications to be the agent of the drunken god brew. If he wanted to be the agent of the drunken god brew, he had to have a high status in the divine nation and a wide network of connections. Oh. Do business? Long Lai frowned. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to stand outside the rules and build a business empire that would be on equal footing with the three divine nations. That's right. I can divide the intensity of this wine into 9 levels, suitable for all kinds of people. As long as you guys help me promote it, why worry about not making money? Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Why is everyone fighting for power and profit? Isn't it all for resources? With divinity crystals, what resources can't you buy? Yi Qinghan tempted. As long as this place was built into a business empire, it would naturally become a territory outside the rules. However, to build a business empire, one had to have the support of the princes of the three divine nations. Furthermore, they had to be of high status. For example, even Long Lai and the prince of the sacred dragon divine nation had to give some face. As for Po Wu Qingfeng, he was the toughest hawk in Po Wu divine nation. Usually, no one dared to offend him. Po Wu Qingfeng was interested. Long Lai might not be short of money, but he was short of money. If he could cooperate with Yi Qinghan, divinity crystals would come rolling in. He would no longer be restricted by resources. If Brother Yi likes it, I can help you promote it. Long Lai saw that Yi Qinghan was not keen on war, so Yi Qinghan would not take sides. It was a good choice to let him be in the middle as a buffer for the three divine nations. After all, the sacred dragon divine nation was rich in resources. No one lacked divinity crystals or resources. Who would be willing to fight? I'm willing to represent Powu divine nation in selling wine. Powu Qingfeng's eyes flashed. He had a way to make a fortune, but he did not say much. Long Lai loved wine. It was not bad to be a prince selling wine. However, he did not care about money. What he cared about was the painting of Medusa. Therefore, he pointed to the painting and said, Taoist Yi, I don't want a share of the profits. Just give me 30%. However, you have to give me that painting. How about that? Yi Qinghan was speechless. 10% of the profits in exchange for a painting of Medusa. I can't make the decision. You should discuss it with my wife, Yi Qinghan said helplessly. At that moment, Emperor Yi was strolling around the residence with the divine bird and cloud beast. When he heard Yi Qinghan's summons, he lifted his skirt and walked to the grand hall. The three princes were all people who had seen beauties before. However, when they saw Emperor Yi, they were stunned. There is actually such an otherworldly woman in this world. She is indeed like a fairy who walked out of a painting. Brother Yi is so lucky. Long Lai said enviously. Emperor Yi smiled. Before he could express his gratitude, the divine bird said disdainfully, Have you never seen a beauty before? You call such a brat beautiful? Long Lai immediately spat out a mouthful of wine and looked at the divine bird. After a while, he reacted and angrily said, Spirit-devouring parrot, have you seen a woman more beautiful than this fairy? TSK, this country bumpkin is ignorant. This divine bird will find a beauty from my divine bird clan another day. I have no interest in looking at trash like this little girl. However, your dragon bloodline is so thick. Shouldn't you be more interested in the uncouth dragons? The divine bird mocked. It was no wonder that Long Lai was infatuated. At this moment, even Tai Qingxian and Powu Qingfeng were shocked. Emperor Yi might not be the most beautiful, but his temperament was the most otherworldly. He did not seem like a human at all. He was a fairy, and flawless. Emperor Yi curled his lips and looked at the divine bird with disdain. He then said to Yi Qinghan, Master, why are you looking for me? Chapter 602. When Emperor Yi found out that Dragon Lair was using 10% of the profits to buy a painting of Medusa, he couldn't help but look at Dragon Lair as if he was an idiot. Your goal is just a painting? Emperor Yi asked curiously. Ahem. It would be best if I could see her real face. Dragon Lair said excitedly. This painting is just a casual description. It's not a real person. I don't want to sell it and won't sell it. Dragon Prince, please give up. Emperor Yi suddenly rejected Dragon Lair's request. His attitude was so firm that Dragon Lair had no choice but to give up. Medusa was a wanted person. The three princes held high positions and naturally didn't know that this was the wanted Medusa. They also wouldn't pay attention to such trivial matters. However, selling this painting was equivalent to announcing Medusa's existence to the public. When Emperor Yi thought of this, he hurriedly took down the painting of Medusa. Dragon Lair felt it was a pity and had no choice but to give up. Dragon Prince, since my son is unwilling to sell it, don't force him. Yi Qinghan smiled. Powu Qingfeng's attention wasn't on Medusa. He only wanted to obtain the distribution rights of the Drunken God brew. He took the initiative to help Yi Qinghan return to the topic. Manor Lord Yi, would anyone else know the recipe for the Drunken God brew? If someone were to make the exact same wine. Po Wu Qingfeng asked in a low voice. He didn't want to cut off this source of income. Of course not. I created this recipe myself. I believe that the entire mythical plane doesn't have any of the ingredients in the wine. Yi Qinghan said confidently. The thicker the juice of the star-twining vine, the stronger the alcohol. There was also the Seven Despair grass. This was something that only the Seven Despair Valley had. The ingredients needed to make pure drunken god brew were not easy to obtain. However, I may need to rely on the three of you for the other ingredients. Yi Qinghan looked at Dragon Lair. Most of the ingredients were in the sacred dragon divine kingdom. With the dragon prince purchasing them, not only was it convenient, but the price would also be very low. However, he didn't seem to be very interested in the dragon nest. If it wasn't for the drunken god brew, he would have left long ago. If the dragon prince is willing to help, I can give you a special wine every year. There is only 1 jar per year, but it will definitely be a supreme wine that you will never be able to drink in your lifetime. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Exceptional wine. Alright, I'll try my best to help you. Dragon Lair was still not very interested. His attention was still on the portrait of Medusa. It was impossible for Medusa to marry an outsider. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi would not agree to it, and Medusa would not agree to it either. Therefore, the dragon's lair could only sigh at her beauty. It was at this point that Medusa gracefully entered. She had just emerged from seclusion, having consumed so much godhood that she was on the verge of reaching the level of rectors. Therefore, she had come to inform Yi Qinghan that she was going to meet with the 3 princes. Even Qingfeng, who had always viewed beauty as unparalleled, sucked in a breath of cold air. Ren Huangye's temperament was unparalleled, while Medusa's beauty was peerless in her generation. She reigned supreme over both ancient and modern times. She did not have the aura of a human, but she was like a fairy. Most importantly, Medusa had an indescribable charm. She was enchanting and soft as if she had no bones. There really is such a person. Dragon Lair's interest was immediately piqued. He couldn't wait to perform well. Medusa looked coldly at the 3 of them. She didn't greet them. Instead, she said to Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, I will be in seclusion for a while. Do not disturb me. You want to break through? Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. Once Medusa broke through, she would be at the level of a rector. Apart from the high-level priests, no one would be able to do anything to her. The divine nations wanted order would exist in name only. They might even take the initiative to revoke it. Medusa nodded. She reached out and pulled Emperor Yi over. She said gently, Sister, help me. I need the soul-cleansing song. Emperor Yi pulled Medusa out of the main hall. Even the cloud beasts and divine birds were left behind. Once Medusa left, Dragon Lair no longer looked disinterested. In order to curry favor with Yi Qinghan, he said, Brother Yi, I will agree to everything you said just now. If we cooperate, I will get 30% of the profits, and you will get 70%. I will provide the materials. Let's get 40% and 60%. I will not take advantage of you. Also, I want to recruit some blacksmiths and alchemists. I hope the 2 of you can help me when the time comes. Yi Qinghan looked at Dragon Lair and Qingfeng. The business he wanted to do was not just wine. His main business was obviously divine weapons, divine artifacts, and life-saving pills. What was the most important thing for blacksmiths and alchemists? Divine fire. Yi Qinghan had a top-grade divine fire. In fact, it would soon evolve to a 12th-grade divine fire. At that time, he would be able to refine top-grade 12th-grade divine pills and mid-grade divine artifacts. What grade of divine artifacts and elixirs was the most important for a middle-level cultivator? Obviously, it was the 12th grade. Absolutely no problem. If anyone is willing to come to the Crazed Manor, the martial divine kingdom will not stop them, Qingfeng said without hesitation. The sacred dragon divine kingdom will support the development of the crazed manor. Dragon Lair promised. Yi Qinghan knew that Dragon Lair was on steroids. It must be because of Medusa. However, he did not point it out. He would leave it to fate. With Dragon Lair's support, the crazed manor announced that they were recruiting all kinds of elites. As long as one had a specialty, they would be supported by the crazed manor. They would be given a mountain for the strong to establish their own sect. In addition, they were recruiting top-grade blacksmiths and alchemists. The reward was a 12th-grade divine fire. However, in order to obtain a 12th-grade divine fire, they would have to pass the crazed manor's assessment. However, the crazed manor required that no sect could have more than 1,000 private soldiers. There was no limit to the number of disciples. The crazed manor had to control the military. That was the bottom line. In order to attract all kinds of elites, Yi Qinghan offered a lot of benefits. Some powerful sects wanted to move their mountains. However, many people were hesitant and did not dare to join the crazed manor at this time. After all, the three divine kingdoms had not yet expressed their stance. However, Dragon Lair and Qingfeng joined forces and announced that they would support the crazed manor's development. Even the mythical plane was shocked. The two divine kingdoms' princes had joined forces. This was unprecedented. It was obvious that the two princes had received the tacit approval of their divine kingdoms. Otherwise, they would not have dared to make such a statement. Tai Qingxian did not have the right to express their stance. Dragon Lair and Qingfeng also did not take him seriously. The crazed manor was silent for a day. However, on the second day, it suddenly became lively. Many masters with special skills came to visit. Some wanted to join the crazed manor, while others wanted the crazed manor to support them in establishing their own sect. Yi Qinghan brought in people from the inner sect to help. As long as their background was clean and their skills were beneficial to the crazed manor's development, they would agree to all of them. The crazed manor was very busy. On the afternoon of the second day, an expert came to the crazed manor. His aura covered half of the manor like a supreme king. Even the three princes were alarmed. They rushed out of their rooms. When they looked up, they could not help but gasp. Outside the crazed manor's main hall stood a white-haired old man. Beside him was a 7- or 8-year-old boy. He looked like an elf. It was impossible to tell his gender. A 12th-grade divine medicine master. One of the three divine medicine masters of the mythical plane, Master Yao Can. Dragon Lair was shocked. This person was a maverick. Even the three royal families could not recruit him. Why was he here today? Chapter 603. Po Wu Qingfeng was dumbfounded. He was very familiar with the person in front of him. Back then, he had tried to recruit Yao Can as a special envoy of the divine nation, but he had been unceremoniously expelled from the Medicine God Valley sect. Now, he had come to the territory of the crazed sect. Was the crazed sect really that attractive? The drug god. To be able to be revered as the medicine god by the people of the world, which one of them could not revive the dead? As long as they did not die, the drug god could always bring the dead back to life. However, there were very few people who could invite the drug god to save people. What they needed the most was not materials or money, but godly fire. There were many 11th-grade godly fires in the Middle Realm, but 12th-grade godly fires were hard to find even in 10,000 years. Fire was the most violent element and difficult to control. A 12th-grade fire god had yet to appear. The drug god was tempted by Yi Qinghan's promise. Yao Can had white hair and white robes. He stood in the wind. Yi Qinghan hurried out to welcome him. The crazed sect is honored by your presence, Master Yao Lao. I, Yi Qinghan, welcome you on behalf of the crazed sect and the crazed sect. Yi Qinghan was very respectful. Yao Ken was an alchemist who had reached the pinnacle of alchemy. With him around, he could attract countless mid-grade and low-grade alchemists. The alchemy industry would be like the sun in the sky. If a large sect had a supporting industry, it could support the entire sect. The alchemy industry and the alchemy industry were eternal pillars. In any era, as long as there were people and wars, these two industries would not go out of business. Yao Ken looked at Yi Qinghan's attitude and was very satisfied. A sect leader was greeting him as a junior. What more could he ask for? Alchemists and alchemists had strange personalities. They did not like to be restrained. Money was like dirt to them. They did not need divine crystals. They only wanted to improve. Their stubborn thirst for knowledge made them the most difficult people in the world to get along with. Just like the Guqin master he met in the Nine Serenities realm. Even the Nine Serenities master could not force him to do anything. Well, I heard that you have a 12th grade godly fire. Yao Ken asked. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand. The 11th grade godly fire burned the void. The temperature was terrifying. It was only half a step away from becoming a 12th grade godly fire. 3 months. After 3 months, I can provide as many 12th grade divine flames as you want. Yi Qinghan said confidently. The little guy beside Yao Ken widened his eyes and opened his mouth wide. He looked at the origin of fire in Yi Qinghan's hand in disbelief. What do you want? Yao Ken's calm mood was finally aroused, and he asked in a low voice. You can join the Kuang Zone. No one in the Kuang Zone will restrict you. I can even buy the divine medicines that you make, instead of giving them to the Kuang Zone for free. Your identity will be the glory of the Kuang Zone. What do you think? Yi Qinghan only wanted this godly apothecary to stay. He didn't dare to make any excessive demands. With such a stubborn and paranoid person, the better he treated him, the more he would feel like he owed him and would instead give him benefits. However, the more he wanted to squeeze him dry, the more he would leave. Such a good deal is not easy to come by. I will not take advantage of you. As long as you provide the materials, I will refine it for you for free, as long as you can provide me with a 12th rank divine flame, Yao Ken said in a deep voice. Thank you very much. You can choose any spiritual mountain in the territory of the Kuangren clan. No one will disturb you, including the inner sect of the Kuangren clan, Yi Qinghan promised. As long as there is a divine flame, it is the same everywhere, as long as it is quiet, Yao Ken said indifferently. Mister, please come in. For the time being, you can stay in the inner sect of the Kuangren clan. Tomorrow, we will build the medicine god's residence for you. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and then led Yao Ken and the boy to a spiritual mountain behind the Kuangren clan. This was the residence of the inner sect and also the address of the Kuangren clan. It was only a few miles away from the Kuangren clan. The scenery here was beautiful and the spiritual qi was dense. A large spiritual qi gathering formation almost enveloped the entire mountain range. At this moment, even Lu Zhantian was cultivating here and had not reorganized the Tai Dragon army. The 30,000-strong Tai Dragon army was stationed at the periphery of the mountain range. The Kuangren clan gave them a large amount of divine crystals and elixirs. They were ready to turn the Tai Dragon army into a truly supreme divine weapon. The Tai Dragon army was courageous and loyal. No matter how many divine crystals and godhoods were spent, Yi Qinghan would not frown. The 30,000-strong divine priest army was the only trump card of the Kuangren clan. Although the number was small, they were united. Therefore, Yi Qinghan did not transfer divine priests from the Blade of Lulan and the Dragon Cavalry to fill the ranks of the Tai Dragon army. As soon as they entered the spiritual mountain, Yao Ken could not help but nod. He looked at the large formation that had integrated the 8 trigrams of yin and yang and various divine formations. It was enough to withstand the attack of a master of the Kuangren clan. Very good. This will be the place. I will choose any courtyard. Yao Can saw that there were villas on top of each mountain. The buildings were very stylish and were very suitable for people like him who had a peaceful temperament to live in. Yao Can had a good eye. He scanned the area with his divine consciousness and chose the most remote mountain. The surrounding cliffs were messy, and clouds and mist rose to the sky. There was a huge courtyard house there. It was a side house that Yi Qinghan had specially built. It was Ren Huangye's resting place. However, recently, Ren Huangye had been accompanying Yi Qinghan in the residence and had not moved. Yi Qinghan did not stop him. It was worth it to exchange a mansion for a godly pharmacist. Yao Can brought the apprentice into the courtyard. All the daily necessities were brought by themselves. Yi Qinghan did not need to do anything. You can go. Come and find me in 3 months. Our agreement will be effective then. Yao Can took over the courtyard and asked Yi Qinghan to leave. Yi Qinghan smiled and left. He was in a good mood after obtaining one of the 3 great godly pharmacists. Back in the mansion, Long Lan and Po Wu Qingfeng looked at Yi Qinghan enviously. Brother Yi, you already have a godly pharmacist. Do you still need to sell wine? Of course. My family is big and I have many people. If I don't have money, how can I support them? Yi Qinghan pretended to be helpless. Little did he know that he was overjoyed in his heart. The 2 of you, help me spread the news. Tell the world that Yao Can is a godly pharmacist in my Quanren mansion. Join my Quanren sect. As long as a talented pharmacist joins my sect, they will be able to receive guidance. Yi Qinghan said seriously. Brother Yi, are you trying to get all the elite pharmacists in the world in one fell swoop? There are only 3 level 12 pharmacists. They never accept disciples or teach them. If you do this, the 3 divine colleges will be angry. Long Lan frowned and reminded him. I have nothing to do with the divine colleges. As long as they don't provoke me, they can recruit pharmacists while I recruit pharmacists. We won't interfere with each other. However, if they make things difficult for me, I will be unhappy. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Qinghan's meaning was clear. Whoever made him unhappy, he would make them unhappy. The Quanren sect would not cause trouble and would develop independently. However, whoever stood in their way, he would get rid of them. Po Wu Qingfeng did not care about the 3 divine colleges. Po Wu Qingfeng lacked godly medicines the most. Since they could work together with Yi Qinghan to sell wine, they could also work together to sell medicine. If there were benefits, anyone could be the boss. If there were no benefits, they could give up on the divine colleges. Therefore, he took the initiative to help Yi Qinghan spread the news. Instantly, many pharmacists, low-grade pharmacists, and apprentices were attracted. Chapter 604. With a divine alchemist in charge, even the alchemy students of the divine college wanted to go to the insane sect's territory. However, seeing that the divine college was about to make a move, they stayed put and waited to see how long the insane sect could last. The alchemy students of the divine college were all intelligent people with extraordinary talent in alchemy. Moreover, each of them had a terrifying background. However, the others did not have such keen insight. Even the alchemy apprentices were heading to the insane sect's territory. Yi Qinghan accepted them without hesitation. As long as they had the talent, he would accept them even if they were just apprentices. While the alchemy industry was developing, the winemaking industry had quietly developed in the insane sect's territory. Those who had the talent for winemaking and those who loved wine could join the winemaking industry. Yi Qinghan personally trained them, and the dosage was strictly controlled. As long as they followed the procedures, they could produce drunken god wine and other divine wines in large quantities. In the eyes of outsiders, the insane sect did not seem to be interested in developing their army. Instead, they liked to develop various useless industries such as engravers, blacksmiths, plantations, herbs, and so on. These professions were considered inferior in some sects, and very few people would do them because they had no combat strength. When war came, they could only wait for death. However, the insane sect promised that if war came, the army would protect them. Even if they died, the insane sect would die first. Therefore, a large number of masters in these professions rushed to the insane sect's territory. As long as they handed over 30% of the profits every year, they would be protected by the insane sect's army. No one could bully them. Although the insane sect's territory was not too big, it was enough. Every piece of land was used and developed to the best advantage. Every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. This was the insane sect's territory. In just a month, the insane sect's net income was more than 1 billion low-grade divine crystals, and more than 30 million mid-grade divine crystals. Yi Qinghan brought Li Shang back and put her in charge of the plantation. The insane sect personally cultivated divine herbs. Everything was on the right track. Large quantities of divine wine were produced in batches. They began to be shipped to the 2 divine nations, but not to the 3 clear divine nations. The high-grade drunken god wine was a limited edition, and it was difficult to buy one. With the 2 princes personally selling the drunken god wine and other products, the divine wine was sold out in just 3 days. The insane sect's net income of 300 million low-grade divine crystals was only the net income of the insane sect in 3 days. In order to see Medusa again, the dragon's lair went all out. They personally sold the wine and bought the materials. The price of the materials was very favorable, more than 10% lower than expected. Being a winemaker had become one of the most popular professions. Anyone who could join Kuang Zong's winemaking profession would become rich. However, it wasn't that easy to join the winemaking profession. Winemaking and planting divine herbs were the only professions that Kuang Zong was personally involved in. As long as one had a clean background, they would have to go through layers of tests before they could enter these 2 professions. The insanely. The insane. 2, and. Yi Qinghan worked hard for 2 months. There was only a month left before the meeting with Yao Can. He began to cultivate in seclusion, trying to evolve the origin of fire to the 12th grade. Once the 12th grade origin of fire appeared, he could make a lot of money just by selling it. Now that the insane sect's army had grown to 3 million, they needed a large amount of divine crystals and divine herbs. To develop into a business empire, money alone was not enough. They also needed a strong army to support them. Only then would they not be controlled by others. With a large number of divine crystals in operation, the Kuang sect began to boldly recruit cultivators to join the upper echelons of the Kuang sect's army. Renhuang Yi was the examiner, and no one who could deceive Renhuang Yi had appeared so far. Only those who were sincere in developing themselves in the Kuang sect could join the upper echelons. Otherwise, the Kuang sect would not even bother to accept a mid-level god. Medusa had entered the state of evolution and needed a year to recover. Medusa entered the inner sect of the insane sect. At this moment, she did not have to worry about being hunted down. Everyone in the inner sect was worthy of her trust, which made her feel particularly relaxed. During this month, Yi Qinghan mobilized the fire source and occasionally joined forces with the little golden crow to devour each other's flame essence. His progress was extremely rapid. His body had been refined to the point where it was like divine iron, comparable to a lesser divine artifact. Even Berserk had been reforged. The origin of fire was getting stronger and stronger. It was getting closer to the 12th grade. The origin of fire was getting bigger and bigger. It was almost entering the realm of a medium god. Yi Qinghan frowned. He found that entering the realm of a medium god would cause the 5 elements to be very uncoordinated. After entering the realm of a medium god, not only would his combat power not increase, it would even decrease a little. Only the origin of fire was strong. The other 4 origins did not break through to the 12th grade. They had not even reached the great perfection of the 11th grade. At this moment, he could either give up or choose to cultivate other origins. But there was not enough time. It seems that I can only slowly adjust my advancement to the medium god. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and chose to break through the origin of fire. A large amount of fire element divine power gathered and attacked the origin of fire. With a roar, Yi Qinghan's momentum increased greatly. The aura of a medium god spread out and covered a radius of 10,000 miles. The violent fire element drifted in the air and attracted Yao Can. There were still 7 days before the appointed time. Yi Qinghan broke through as promised. He could freely mobilize the 12th grade fire element. The secret art of fire could break the sky with a snap of his fingers. But the other elements were suppressed and could not be used at all. Even the 5 elements Dao body had lost its effect. Overall, Yi Qinghan's combat power had increased, but for him, it had decreased a lot. It seems that I need to buy a lot of 5 elements divine treasures. This breakthrough is not a good thing. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up. His skin was scarlet red, and even his hair had turned golden red and shimmering. Yi Qinghan withdrew the origin of fire and stepped out of the mansion. He looked down from the sky and saw the prosperity of Kuang Mansion. One after another, great achievements rose into the sky and sects gradually rose. He felt very proud. Master. We're rich. Emperor Yi was extremely excited. He rushed over from afar and said proudly, in the past 3 months, our net income has exceeded 10 billion low-grade spirit crystals, 300 million mid-grade spirit crystals, and 300 billion top-grade spirit crystals. The number of spirit crystals seemed shocking, but to the people of the upper echelons, they used high-grade spirit crystals as currency. Exchanging so many spirit crystals and spirit crystals for high-grade spirit crystals was not much. Yi Qinghan was naturally not satisfied. This amount of spirit crystals was not enough for him, let alone so many people. Yes, 50% of the profits will be used to buy the origin of godheads. Strive to develop the 3 million strong army into the main force. The God Temple must occupy more than 50%. Yi Qinghan nodded and said. Chapter 605. The insane sect's development was like the sun in the sky. In just 3 months, they had built their territory into an iron bucket. There were a total of 9 defensive checkpoints in all directions, mainly guarding against the attacks of the 3 divine kingdoms and the College of Divinity. The inner sect of the insane sect came out of seclusion one after another, and the insane sect showed unprecedented strength. When more than 40 individual kings gathered together, they could scare off an entire prefecture's army. A year later, the insane sect would have 2 prefecture-level existences, and they could definitely wipe out any prefecture. If the 2 prefectures joined forces, the insane sect would also be able to wipe out any prefecture. The insane sect had not taken sides yet, but it was developing rapidly and making a lot of money every day. This made many forces jealous. There were many transcendental forces in the mythical realm. They were not part of any prefecture, but they were also attached to the 3 divine kingdoms. The 3 colleges of divinity were the most successful, and they had developed to be on par with the divine kingdoms. There were also forces that were not as powerful as the divine kingdoms, but were stronger than the average prefecture. They did not have such a large territory, but the insane sect did. Although there were only 56 prefectures, there were far more than 56 prefecture-level existences. There might be hundreds or thousands of them, and they occupied every corner of the mythical realm. They might start a sect and become a grandmaster of a generation, or live in seclusion and develop into a huge family. There were also some who became wanderers and traveled the mortal world. These people had a huge social circle that only prefecture-level existences could join. Even the mid-level supreme existences could not. This social circle called itself the Gods Organization. There were a total of 362 people, and they were all half-step superior gods. Those who could enter this circle had to be introduced by someone in the circle. They shared information with each other, exchanged treasures, and exchanged ideas. On the surface, it was peaceful, but the competition in the dark was extremely cruel. It could be even more brutal than the competition between the prefectures, and it could easily destroy the world and slaughter one side. This group of people would gather if there was something to gain, and if there was nothing to gain, they would disperse. They were truly outside the rules. God's organization had an alternate dimension. The members of the circle could enter the alternate dimension from any corner of the middle plane. However, only their souls could enter the alternate dimension. Their physical bodies could not enter the alternate dimension. Once more than 30 half-step superior gods gathered in the alternate dimension, something big would definitely happen in the middle plane. If more than 100 powerhouses entered the alternate space, it would definitely alarm the god nation. There were very few mansion masters in this circle. Most of them were the clan masters of various aristocratic families, the clan masters of powerful sects, or the super-itinerant cultivators of a generation. At this moment, more than 20 priests who were half a step away from the superior god realm had gathered in the alternate space. Although there were not many of them, the divine kingdom had already reacted somewhat. This showed how powerful these people were. These people were unfamiliar to him, but if the Mu clan's master was here, he would definitely recognize them. These people were either the masters of families or sects above the 12th grade, or the chief commander of some powerful mercenary group. They were not inferior to him in terms of status or combat strength. Taizhan, the leader of the top 10 mercenary groups in the mythological dimension, was among them. Taizhan's cultivation base was stronger than the Mu clan's mansion masters. His soul transformed into an afterimage, and he could crush a medium god to death with a single glance. The clan master of the Shui clan, Shui Qinggu, was as handsome as jade. Although he was as beautiful as a woman, those who knew him well knew how powerful he was. He could freeze the divinity of a medium god priest in an instant. Even the mansion master had to salute him when he saw him. The clan master of the Shui clan was famous for their good looks. The men were enchanting, and the women were charming. They were as white as snow. Among the top 10 beauties of every generation in the middle dimension, the clan master of the Shui clan had at least 2 of them. The clan master of the Lai sect, the Wild Knife Alliance, the Path of God cultivators, every one of them was famous, but now they were gathered in one place, as if they were discussing something. Just when everyone was silent, a middle-aged man appeared in the alternate space. He was gentle and elegant, but there was a hint of fierceness in his eyes, which made people shudder. He was Han Mang, the teacher of the Fire Source faculty in the Tian Ke Divine College. His alchemy skills were deeply respected by the royal family of the 3 Clear Divine Kingdom. Han Mang swept his gaze over the crowd, bowed slightly, and said, "Greetings, brothers. I have contacted you this time for a simple reason, to eliminate the insane sect. My divine college has always been aloof from worldly affairs and does not participate in worldly affairs, so it is not convenient for us to act. I would like to ask the brothers here for help. Who is willing to do it? What are the benefits?" Taizhan was valiant. He was 2 meters tall and looked like a giant. Everyone looked at Han Mang. It was obvious that these people did not care about emotions, only benefits. Whoever acts will have the insane sect's territory. The Tian Ke Divine College will definitely keep this place outside the rules. Also, the insane sect's industry has already developed, so they can go wherever they want. The Divine College does not need anything, Han Mang said calmly. Taizhan did not believe it. The Divine College would not rise early if there were no benefits. How could they call for everyone to eliminate the insane sect without taking any benefits? We have worked together for so long. If you have something to say, just say it. It is not a good habit to be hesitant, the leader of the Wild Blade Alliance, Blade Emperor, said bluntly and unhappily. The insane sect interferes with the benefits of the Tian Ke Divine College. That is the reason why I contacted the 20 of you, because you are the closest to the insane sect and have the strongest combat power. If you are willing to help, I can provide you with information about the insane sect. One force may not be able to take them down. It will require 2 or 3 forces to work together. Han Mang stood proudly and looked at the 20 people. Humph, it is just a small force that has just developed. Even if they have a mansion master behind them, so what? It is not difficult to kill that old thing Gong Yang. He is old and no longer has the will to fight. If it were not for the fact that he is the mansion master, his territory would have been taken down long ago. Tai Zhan said with disdain. He had the strongest mercenaries, but he did not have a territory suitable for development. He had long wanted to take down a piece of blessed land, but there was no suitable place for him to do so. Now that the insane sect had taken over Gong Yang, he was tempted. The promise of the Divine College had become his motivation. No, the insane sect is not as simple as you think. There are a total of 43 people in the inner sect, and all of them are kings of soldiers. They are equivalent to 43 third-year students of the Divine College, or even fourth-year students. With such a force and the cooperation of an army, it is not difficult to kill a mansion master. In addition, the insane sect has a mansion master. So I would like to remind everyone that if you want to make a move, you must be fully prepared. Insane sect has such great benefits, it is not good for one person to take it all, Han Mang said in a low voice. There is one more person you need to pay attention to, and that is Lu Zhantian. He was recruited by the vice principal of the military department of the Divine College. Unfortunately, he rejected the offer. Now, he has left the Mu clan and joined the insane sect. He even has an army of 30,000 elites. This is a very strong force. What other information do you have? Share it with me. This old man is curious, where did this insane sect come from? How did they eliminate the Gongyang prefecture? How did they subdue Lu Zhantian? The Shui clan head asked curiously. I do not know the details of the insane sect. I personally asked the Mu clan's mansion master, but he was unwilling to tell me. I could not force him. However, I did some research and found out that the sect master of the insane sect, Yi Qinghan, is an elemental priest of the 5 elements. He is invincible among his peers, and his battle strength is comparable to that of the 4th-year students of the Divine College. His wife is called Emperor Yi, and she has the heavenly soul godhead. She is also a zither master, and her battle strength is not inferior to that of Yi Qinghan. The two of them are telepathically connected, and their cooperation is seamless. They can kill a medium god priest. Also, they have the 7 demise serpent and a beautiful woman. According to my research, that woman is most likely Medusa, Han Mang reminded. Everyone sucked in a deep breath. With such a background, they could be considered as an established sect. If not for the fact that they had not chosen a side, the Divine College would have to think twice before attacking them. Also, don't underestimate the mansion master behind the insane sect. Someone said that he killed Gongyang Prefecture's mansion master in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. That is all I know about the insane sect. If you want to attack, you have to tell me. I don't have any other requests, as long as you capture Yi Qinghan alive and hand him over to me. That shouldn't be too difficult, right? Han Mang glanced at everyone and asked in a deep voice. He was just an extreme lower realm expert, and the mansion master would not put him in their eyes. Even if Yi Qinghan was a medium god priest, he was still an ant in their eyes. The insane sect was still developing rapidly. Yi Qinghan began to purchase supreme treasures, secret arts, divine herbs, 5 elements divine herbs, and materials needed for the inner sect's experts to break through. The insane sect had no top experts, which was its biggest flaw. They could not rely on Grand Monarch Shura for everything. Sooner or later, he would leave the middle realm and return to the 9 serenities. The insane sect had to have its own experts, and it could not have less than 2. The battle a few days ago had allowed the inner sex experts to improve rapidly. With the addition of large amounts of divine crystals, godheads, and divine pills, almost all of them were extreme lower realm experts. Di Longtian had even relied on the power of the divine dragon to reach the complete lower realm, firmly suppressing the others. He could almost stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Qinghan now. Out of the 3 million strong army, Lu Lan's blade had 1 million, the dragon cavalry had 600,000, and Zhuge Xianqing had developed a force of 1,400,000. Since the Gongyang prefecture was Zhuge Xuanqing's old territory, it was easy for him to develop an army. In addition to his prestige, almost all the immortal guards had joined his army. Zhuge Xuanqing's army was strict and could even be described as cruel. Ordinary soldiers were trained as the main force, and they were tempted with divine crystals, godheads, and official positions. The army's courage and potential were suppressed. In just 3 months, the army of more than 1 million had become very strong. Yi Qinghan provided Yao Ken with the 12th grade fire origin, and specially bought some divine herbs for Yao Ken. He hoped that Yao Ken could provide some top-notch 11th grade divine pills to help the inner sex people break through to the complete lower realm. The crazy sect was developing rapidly, but it did not know that the dozens of forces around it were eyeing the territory of the crazy sect with red eyes. They were just waiting for an opportunity, an excuse, to devour the crazy sect like hungry wolves and tigers. Chapter 606. After the 4th month in Crazy Manor's territory, all the major businesses were on the right track and began to make profits. Many alchemy sects opened up their sects and refined different kinds of divine medicine. There were high-quality ones and low-quality ones. The low-quality ones were mostly consumed by the sect's disciples, but the high-quality ones were all bought by the Crazy Manor at market price. With Yi Qinghan taking the lead, even the divine bird and the little golden crow started to do business. They sold fire origins of all grades, and the price depended on the person. If they had money, they would buy as much as they could. If they didn't, they would scrape a layer of oil out of them. The 2 divine birds sold their divine fire all over the world. They claimed that as long as one could afford it, they could even buy a 13th grade divine fire. However, a 13th grade divine fire was priced at 2 superior god personas. Everyone knew that they couldn't get their hands on a 13th grade divine fire, which was why they raised the price so ridiculously. The divine bird's business grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it reached the territory of the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom and was sold at a higher price. Especially the 12th grade divine fire, which was a rare commodity. In the entire Middle Plane, no one could get their hands on it except for the superior gods. The divine birds flew all the way, searching for treasures, selling divine fires, and buying rare treasures. In the end, they attracted the covetous eyes of the strong. They were trapped in a canyon by a group of people and imprisoned by a four-sided array. Even the little golden crow couldn't escape. However, they relied on their divine fire, and the strong fighters couldn't catch them. Yi Qinghan looked at the divine bird's distress signal and learned that it was bandits who had surrounded them. It wasn't worth the effort, and it wasn't suitable to send troops to the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom. In the end, they had to ask the dragon nest to step in and rescue the 2 divine birds. After the divine bird returned to Crazy Manor's territory, it didn't go out to search for treasures anymore. It kept clamoring to deliver treasures to Yi Qinghan. It wanted Yi Qinghan to build a huge auction house and find the world's best auctioneers and appraisers to help. It would attract strong fighters from all over the world to search for treasures and sell them. This way, it wouldn't need to go out to search for treasures. It could just wait at the auction house. Yi Qinghan recalled what the divine bird had done in the auction house years ago. If the crazed sect really built an auction house, the divine bird would definitely steal it from them. When that time came, the crazed sect would be the one to suffer losses. After all, if they lost their treasures, they would have to pay 10 times the price. However, the divine bird's suggestion was a good one. If they wanted to come into contact with high-end treasures, they had to set up an auction house. Moreover, the appraiser had to be the strongest in the mythical realm. Only then would they be able to attract experts and adventurers to hand over their treasures to the Crazy Mansion auction house. Yi Qinghan asked Tai Ching Xian and learned that the best appraisers in the mythical dimension were all in the auction houses set up by the three divine kingdoms. It was impossible to rope them in. What they needed, the Guangzong could not afford it for the time being. Then, we have to nurture our own appraisers. We have to publicize and create a reputation for appraisers. We have to create a Middle Plains #1 appraiser. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and muttered to himself. He was thinking about how to create a #1 appraiser. That's easy. Leave it to this divine bird. The #1 appraiser will be the little master. With me around, there is no treasure in this world that can escape my eyes, the divine bird said proudly. The little master's beauty is unparalleled in the world, and her temperament is unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. With this divine bird's help, people from all over the world will definitely flock to you. As the saying goes, gold and silver cups are not as good as their big mouths. As long as the little master appraises a top-grade divine treasure and forcefully crown the title of the #1 appraiser, all the appraisers in the world will definitely come to challenge you. Once the little master defeats them one by one, the title of the #1 appraiser in the world will be hers. Kakik. The divine bird laughed slyly. Yi Qinghan thought about it carefully and felt that it was feasible. He began to promote it. The next day, a piece of news resounded through the world like a thunderclap. The Crazy Mansion has built the world's #1 auction house. The appraiser is the world's #1 beauty, the #1 zither expert, and Lord Emperor Yi is personally in charge. It is said that there is no treasure that cannot be appraised. In short, Emperor Yi was the world's #1 beauty, the world's #1 appraiser, and the world's #1 auction house. The Crazy Mansion praised Emperor Yi to the heavens, and the promotion was simply exaggerated. They even sold the image of Emperor Yi playing the zither. The image was free. How was that possible? No matter what, he was still a peerless beauty. A single carefree lament could intoxicate the world. Just this image and the song alone were worth 10,000 low-grade divine crystals. The Crazy Mansion sold a total of 10,000 images, which were divided equally among the three divine nations. Almost every major mansion had an image. 1 spread to 10, and 10 spread to 100. Emperor Ye's beauty and zither skills were indeed unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. There was no flattery at all. People couldn't help but wonder if Emperor Yi really had such ability. Then, the Crazy Mansion released another piece of news. Any customer whose treasure was auctioned for more than 1,000 high-grade divine crystals could listen to Emperor Yi play a complete carefree lament for free. They were attracting customers in all kinds of ways. Before the customers arrived, the Crazy Mansion auction house was built in the main city of the Crazy Mansion. It covered an area of tens of thousands of hectares and could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. The auction house was divided into 4 areas, the treasure area, the VIP area, the elite area, and the ordinary area. It could accommodate all kinds of divine treasures in the world. The Crazy Mansion itself had attracted many building masters. They had been nurtured for a long time, and now they finally came in handy. In half a day, the auction house was designed. Then, the army was mobilized to start building the house. The auction house was built in just 3 days. On the 4th day, a huge 4-story auction house rose from the ground. Then, the Crazy Mansion began to recruit appraisers. From elite appraisers to divine appraisers, they were all recruited at a high price. The price offered was 10% higher than the other auction houses. They also offered free housing, various benefits, and other temptations. The appraisers of the various auction houses jumped ship one after another. The crazy mansion immediately attracted the hatred of the other auction houses. More and more people were jealous. The crazy mansion was too arrogant. Perhaps it was because they were developing without caring about the cost, or perhaps it was because the crazy mansion was rich and willful. They talked about benefits for everything. The more money you have, the better. There were all kinds of benefits that the other auction houses could not provide. The most important thing was that the crazy mansion's territory had good security. Those who used their power to oppress others were expelled from the crazy mansion's territory or killed on the spot. No sect dared to behave atrociously in the crazy mansion's territory. How could they be stronger than the crazy mansion? The youngest generation of the crazy mansion's inner sect was comparable to the experts of the older generation. They would kill anyone who attacked. The crazy mansion's territory was even built into a giant spirit gathering formation, developing it into a holy land with beautiful scenery. It was a holy land for sightseeing, attracting the young people of various mansions and sections. A large number of rivers were excavated in the crazy mansion's territory. Ancient trees that were 10,000 years old were moved here. With Li Chang here, there were no dead ancient trees. Although the crazy mansion's territory was huge, there was no wasteland. Even a mountain range was used by the crazy mansion. Most of the territory was handed over to the sects that moved here to manage. They were deeply influenced by the crazy mansion and mainly focused on developing business. As long as there was business, they would do their best to attract business, such as high-grade hunting grounds, brothels. In less than half a year, the crazy mansion's territory attracted the direct descendants of the mansion lord to come here to sightsee. Even the princes of the three divine kingdoms had appeared quietly. Because of this, the Iron Battle mercenary group could not attack the crazy mansion. Otherwise, they would not be able to explain themselves if they hurt the sons of the mansion lords and the princes of the divine kingdoms. Chapter 607. Quang Fu strongly promoted Emperor Yi, and the reputation of the #1 beauty appraiser spread like wildfire. Her name spread to more than a dozen mansions and sections. Even the mansions in the hinterlands of the three divine kingdoms heard about Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan put in almost all of his effort to build Emperor Ye's reputation. He exaggerated as much as he could. 10 days later, Quang Fu Auction House was officially established. It was announced that Quang Fu Auction House would be divided into 4 levels: Divine Treasure, Absolute Treasure, Elite, and Normal. The Divine Artifact Auction would be held once a year, the Absolute Artifact Auction would be held once every half a year, the Elite Artifact Auction would be held once every 3 months, and as for the Normal Artifact Auction, it would be held once every half a month. This was Quang Fu Auction House's promise. Quang Fu Auction House also promised to compensate 100 times the original price for every fake item sold. Normal auction houses only promised to compensate 10 times the original price for fake items, but Quang Fu Auction House dared to promise 100 times the original price. Soon, people came to Emperor Yi because of the auction house's reputation. There were also people who came to make things difficult for him. They brought out all kinds of strange items for Emperor Yi to appraise. In order to establish its prestige, the divine bird racked its brains and dug deep into its memories. It cooperated with Emperor Yi and described the treasures in detail. The prices and final valuations were absolutely perfect. Even the challengers could not be picky about the prices they set. They were neither too high nor too low, and the final valuations could be predicted to the extreme. Most of the challengers were appraisers. They were impressed by Emperor Ye's appraisal skills and wanted to join Quang Fu Auction House on the spot. With a large number of appraisers of various levels joining Quang Fu Auction House, Emperor Yi did not even have a chance to appraise low-level, substandard treasures. Only the real, top-level treasures would be handed to Emperor Yi. The divine bird's knowledge of treasures was beyond everyone's imagination. Even Yi Qinghan was surprised. Many of the items were the first time the divine bird saw them. Whether they were treasures or not, one could tell from its eyes. The more passionate its eyes were, the more expensive the treasure was. The calmer it was, the more it did not even want to look at them. More and more people came because of Kuang Fu Auction House's reputation. However, if they wanted to see Emperor Yi, they first had to bring out a treasure to be auctioned. Otherwise, they would not even qualify to enter the treasure area, let alone see Emperor Yi or hear a perfect zither song. Treasures that could enter the treasures area would be auctioned off for at least 100 high-grade divine crystals. Some treasures couldn't be exchanged for mid-grade divine crystals, no matter how many mid-grade divine crystals there were. Half-step gods didn't need mid-grade divine crystals at all. The auction house's appraisal fee was 0.5%. 10 million mid-grade treasures would cost 500,000 mid-grade treasures. Kuang Fu Auction House's appraisal fee was 0.5%. This was Kuang Fu Auction House's advantage. Their commission was 10% lower than other auction houses. With Kuang Fu Auction House's guarantee, more and more people were willing to submit their treasures to Kuang Fu Auction House. This caused many auction houses to lose more than 30% of their customers. The Mu Manor Celestial Gold Auction House, the Army-Shattering Manor Supreme Auction House, and even the top 10 auction houses in the Myth Middle Plain were all affected by Kuang Fu Auction House. Finally, the nearby auction houses were enraged. They sent out some top-level appraisers to compete with Emperor Yi. They hoped to take down Emperor Ye's arrogance. The Celestial Gold Auction House's chief auctioneer and appraiser, Mr. Xing, personally arrived at Kuang Fu Auction House under the protection of a mid-level gods. His appearance attracted everyone's attention. Why is Master Xing here? Is he here to join Kuang Fu Auction House? Maybe he's here with bad intentions. Master Xing is the strongest auctioneer in the nearby auction houses. Emperor Yi is known as the #1 appraiser in the world. It's normal for him to be unconvinced. Many people frequented the auction houses. Some were there to buy treasures, while others were there to sell treasures. It was normal for them to recognize Mr. Xing. Moreover, Mr. Xing looked like an immortal. He was very distinguishable. Yi Qinghan stood at the top of the treasure area and looked down at Mr. Xing. He knew that Mr. Xing was here to provoke him, but he smiled happily. If Emperor Yi wanted to be known as the #1 appraiser, he couldn't rely on others to provoke him. He had to defeat some famous appraisers, such as this Mr. Xing, or the chief auctioneer of the top 10 auction houses. In short, the stronger the opponent, the more famous Emperor Yi would be. Yi Qinghan led Emperor Yi to the treasure area and arrived at the normal area. If they wanted to advertise, they had to accept the challenge in a crowded area. They didn't have to advertise themselves. The divine bird crouched on Ren Huangye's shoulder without uttering a single word. Ren Huangye held a cloud beast in his hand. He looked like a little girl who kept a pet and attracted the affection of many people. Ren Huangye had an extraordinary temperament, so it was difficult for the crowd to have any ill feelings towards him. From their words, it seemed that they hoped that Ren Huangye would win. As the chief appraiser, Mr. Xing didn't look at Emperor Yi first. Instead, he looked at the cloud beast and the spirit-devouring divine parrot on Emperor Ye's shoulder. The cloud beast and the spirit-devouring divine parrot were both extremely precious divine beasts. They might not be as strong as divine dragons or divine emperors, but they were even rarer. It had been many years since a spirit-devouring divine parrot had been seen in the Middle Realm. Fairy, you are so lucky. No wonder you dare to call yourself the #1 appraiser in the world. You have the help of the spirit-devouring divine parrot, Xing Lai said calmly. Why do you say that, Master Xing? Can't I have a spirit pet? Emperor Yi frowned. He had a bad feeling when he saw Xing Lai's aura. Of course you can. I admire Fairy's luck. You were able to gain the recognition of the spirit-devouring divine parrot. With it around, I have lost. Xing Lai said frankly. However, What he meant was that he had lost to the spirit-devouring divine parrot and not to the so-called number one appraiser in the world, Emperor Yi. He also didn't acknowledge Emperor Ye's identity. You eccentric old man. If you admit that you are no match for me, then just admit defeat. Don't push all the blame onto this divine bird. Am I that powerful? Am I so powerful that you will piss your pants when you see me and admit defeat? The divine bird's words were even more eccentric as it mocked him coldly. Despicable bird, don't talk nonsense. If you dare to insult Mr. Xing again, I will kill you. Xing Lai's bodyguard, the middle-level almighty priest, immediately unleashed his aura. He pressed down on Emperor Yi and the divine bird on his shoulder. Humph, how arrogant of you. With a cold snort, he emitted a ruthless, murderous aura. The murderous aura almost condensed into a solid form as it pressed down on the extreme medium Dao divine priest. The guard instantly felt a splitting headache, and he was almost scared out of his wits. He directly collapsed to the ground, his face pale as he looked at the treasure area in horror. The others weren't affected, but they couldn't help but be shocked and they saw a middle-level almighty being so frightened by a cold snort. Fellow Daoist, don't throw a tantrum in my crazy manor auction house. This is just a warning. If you do it again, you won't get a second chance. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Grand Monarch Shura didn't even need to show himself to control the auction house. Everything had to be done according to his will. Anyone who dared to cause trouble in the auction house would have to be prepared to die. Killing one as a warning to the rest, this mid-level extreme Dao mighty figure had become the best target to establish his might. Xing Lai finally understood that crazy manor wasn't as simple as he thought. He looked up at the treasure area, but he couldn't sense anyone there. However, it was obvious that the cold snort had come from above. We were rude. Please don't blame us, fellow Daoist Yi. Xing Lai said to Yi Qinghan, neither servile nor overbearing. Since Emperor Yi claims to be the best appraiser in the world, can you help me appraise a treasure? This treasure's origin is unknown, and I still don't know what it is. As long as Fairy Emperor Yi can appraise this treasure's origin and value, I will publicly announce that Fairy Emperor Yi is the best appraiser. Chapter 608. Xing Lai's firm attitude made it clear that the divine treasure in his hand was something that would only be seen once in a million years. It might even be something that had never been seen before. For an appraiser to be unable to understand something after so many years, it must be extremely rare. Whoosh! A stone about the size of a goose egg appeared in Xing Lai's hand. It radiated a gentle light that contained divine might. The stone looked transparent, but its interior was filled with chaos, making it impossible to see through or understand. Everyone could tell that it was a treasure at first glance, but no one knew its origin. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed, and the mysteries of chaos in his heart throbbed wildly, as if it wanted to merge with this stone. What a treasure! The divine bird exclaimed, but the crest on its head opened wide. When it couldn't understand what it was, the crest would open up. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi knew this the best. I came across this divine stone by chance, and it's the only one of its kind. I know it's a treasure, but I can't use it, nor do I know how to value it. I went to the top 10 auction houses, but no one could give me a satisfactory price, so I've been keeping it with me. As long as Miss Emperor Yi can tell me its origin and value, not only will I acknowledge Fairy Emperor Yi as the number one appraiser, but I'll also give this divine stone to you. Xing Lai said seriously. Are you serious? Emperor Yi was surprised. Xing Lai was too confident. Or did he really not care about this divine stone? I'm serious. I don't know what this divine item is, and I can't use it, so I don't deserve to have it. This divine item is only worthy of those who understand it. As long as you can tell me its origin and value, I'll give it to you. Xing Lai said. At this moment, even Grand Monarch Shura was attracted. He looked at the divine stone in Xing Lai's hand and tried to forcibly draw its energy, but he couldn't. The divine stone was covered in chaos runes that imprisoned its energy. Even with Grand Monarch Shura's strength, he couldn't shake the runes. What the hell is this? Grand Monarch Shura frowned. He couldn't tell what this thing was or what it was worth. Emperor Yi reached out his hand and took the divine stone. He used his heaven soul as one and sent a strand of his consciousness into the divine stone through the mystical origin of heaven and earth. Just as he was about to enter the depths of the divine stone, the chaotic patterns on the divine stone actually repelled the mystical origin of heaven and earth 1,000 miles away. The more Emperor Yi tried to force his way into the God Stone, the brighter the runes on the God Stone became. It was incomparably majestic, as if it could destroy the heavens and earth once it exploded. Fellow Taoist, can you give me 2 hours to study it? Emperor Yi stared at Xing Lai and asked in a crisp voice. No problem. Xing Lai nodded without hesitation. It was only 2 hours. So many years had passed. Why would he care about this little bit of time? Please. Yi Qinghan gestured for him to go upstairs to the treasure area. Grand Monarch Shura glanced at the guard indifferently. The guard was so scared that he lowered his head and didn't dare to say a word. He obediently followed behind Xing Lai. The group went up to the treasure area together. On the 4th floor. Just as the people downstairs thought that Emperor Yi would be stumped, a soul-stirring zither tune sounded from the 4th floor. It was so intoxicating. Emperor Yi used the zither tune to fuse with the mystical origin of the heavenly Tao and slowly fused with the runes on the divine stone. As long as it was energy, it could intertwine and fuse. No energy could stop Emperor Yi, who was one with the heavens. The zither tune silenced heaven and earth. Time and space stopped moving, and all living things stopped moving. The enormous Kuang Fu auction house was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. Yi Qinghan's and Emperor Ye's consciousness intertwined and exerted their power together. Yi Qinghan's consciousness swept up the profound mysteries of the origin of chaos and approached the divine stone, Wen Yao. He only wanted to merge with it and not force his way in. Slowly, Wen Yao took the initiative to merge with Yi Qinghan's profound mysteries of the origin of chaos. They intertwined and trapped the energy within the divine stone. As soon as Yi Qinghan's divine stone fused with the runes, a large amount of knowledge about the divine stone involuntarily appeared in his sea of consciousness. The primal chaos origin was the origin of the energy of heaven and earth. Its power was endless. Yi Qinghan read the introduction about the primal chaos origin and couldn't help but be shocked. This thing wasn't just a treasure. It was a legendary primal chaos artifact. Perhaps only legendary existences like the second sorcerer god could use it. This small piece of primal chaos origin actually contained the power to destroy a middle plane. No one below the chief god level could use it. Perhaps even the 9 remoteness master couldn't use the power of the primal chaos origin. Once the power of the primal chaos origin exploded, it was enough to destroy a superior god. Yi Qinghan looked at the vast energy rolling in the depths of the divine stone. It was endless. It was as if the internal space was a vast universe. At the beginning of primal chaos, nothing existed. There was only the purest energy. The two of them worked together and tried to release some of the energy. Even if it was just a trace, it was enough to kill a superior god. Yi Qinghan continued to work hard and tried to understand the runes. He wanted to be able to control the divine stone alone and turn it into the core of the berserk saber. As long as he could control the primal chaos origin, it would be equivalent to having countless godhoods. With Renhuang Ye's guidance and cooperation, the brilliance of the godly source's mysterious patterns gradually became clearer. Yi Qinghan was able to derive a sliver of power by himself. However, he would not be able to control any more than that. Give me some time, and I'll be able to control this primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan was very confident. He retreated from the primal chaos origin with Emperor Yi. Huang Yi stopped playing her guqin. Her face was somewhat pale. This seemingly simple action had actually wasted a large amount of her spiritual energy. Mr. Xing, this item is the primal chaos origin, the origin of the primal chaos energy. Its value is immeasurable, so I can't give you a price. Emperor Ye's tired appearance was heartbreaking. Even his voice had changed. Yi Qinghan gestured for Emperor Yi to return to his room to rest. He faced Xing Lai alone. Xing Lai's body trembled. He looked at the primal chaos origin in Yi Qinghan's hands in disbelief. He wasn't sure if Emperor Yi was telling the truth. Mr. Xing, to prove that my son is telling the truth, I can demonstrate how to use the primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan said confidently. What? You can use the energy inside the primal chaos origin? Xing Lai didn't believe it. He had studied the primal chaos origin for so many years, and he was a mid-level god. Even now, he still couldn't use the energy inside. Yi Qinghan had only touched the primal chaos origin for an hour. I can only use a little. However, it's enough for you to understand the true value of the primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan nodded. All right. As long as Daoist Yi can use this so-called primal chaos origin, this divine stone will be yours. I won't say anything. Xing Lai said in a low voice. Let's leave the city. Yi Qinghan summoned Crazed Heart and condensed its core slot again. It was just enough to fill the primal chaos origin. He inserted the primal chaos origin into the core slot and took the lead. They went straight out of Crazed Manor's territory. South Mountain Pass, 1,500 kilometers northeast. This was a barren land that the three divine nations didn't care about. There were all sorts of forces here, and all sorts of people were active here. This was because the Liaodong mountain range, the most complicated mountain range in the Middle Plain. Ferocious divine beasts ran rampant here, and poisonous miasma filled the air. The underground was rich in resources, but they couldn't extract them. Yi Qinghan and Grand Monarch Azura led Xing Lai and the guard out of the city and descended here. How about we take this fellow Daoist as our opponent? Yi Qinghan asked. Xing Lai nodded. He could trust his own people, so he didn't need to worry about him cooperating with Yi Qinghan. He said, Old Luo, don't hurt Daoist Yi. Just defend. Yi Qinghan gripped his saber with both hands. A wisp of divine sense covered the primal chaos origin, and a seemingly powerless saber slashed down from the sky above the extreme Dao expert. The guard, Old Luo, only used a tenth of his strength to block the attack. The two forces exploded, shattering a mountain range. Yi Qinghan didn't attack again. Instead, he asked, Sir, how many attacks do you think I can make before I run out of energy with this kind of strength? Old Luo thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, Manor Lord Yi has the 5 elements divine body in 5 godhoods. Each godhood can support 300 attacks, so 5 godhoods are equivalent to 1,500 attacks. Coupled with Daoist Ye's unparalleled physical strength, you should be able to make 2,000 attacks. You'll be unstoppable on the battlefield. Then sir, take 2,000 of my attacks. Let's see how much divine power I have left. Yi Qinghan crossed his legs and clenched his fists again. His aura erupted as he shouted. The heavenly astral 108 heavenly slashes transformed into countless saber flashes that tore through space. Swish. 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 1 slash. 2 slashes. 100 slashes, 200 slashes, 500 slashes. Yi Qinghan didn't seem to know fatigue. Every slash used the same amount of strength, sweeping through mountains and rivers, shaking the heavens and the earth. Old Luo felt that he could defend in the beginning, but later on, he actually used a third of his divine power. However, Yi Qinghan didn't seem to use any divine power at all. Every slash was stronger and fiercer than the last. Old Luo was forced to retreat, and his hands were shattered. Boom! 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 Swish! 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 Yi Qinghan was still brandishing his saber and slashing at old Luo. Xing Lai was dumbfounded. He had already delivered 1,000 slashes. Such saber arts and strength were enough to exhaust 2 lesser great perfection sovereigns. However, Yi Qinghan didn't show any signs of exhaustion. His strength even showed signs of rising. 1,500 slashes. Yi Qinghan's speed increased as old Luo was sent flying. If he didn't attack, he wouldn't be able to continue defending. 1,700 slashes, 1,800 slashes, boom. Old Luo was sent flying once again. The bones in his arms were shattered. He didn't even have the will to attack. Stop! Xing Lai was alarmed as he hurriedly stopped Yi Qinghan's attacks. Yi Qinghan sheathed his saber and stood there. He summoned his godheads. Every godhead was filled with divine power. He didn't expend any of it. What I used just now was the power of the primal chaos divinity source. This is where the value of the primal chaos divinity source lies. As long as my opponent doesn't kill me, my power is limitless. Yi Qinghan said calmly. You. How much power can you unleash in one go? How much power can you borrow from the primal chaos divinity source? Is this the most? Xing Lai asked in shock. Sorry, but this is my secret. I hope you too can help me keep it a secret. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Once the primal chaos divinity source was discovered, the primal chaos divinity source would definitely come to snatch it. If he didn't hand it over, the consequences would be obvious. Why don't I kill them? Grand Monarch Shura suddenly asked. Even he was tempted by such a supreme treasure. If news of it leaked out, Yi Qinghan would probably have to return to the 9 hells. Hiss, old Luo and Xing Lai gasped. Old Luo's divine power was almost exhausted. Grand Monarch Shura could kill them with a single slap. Mansion Lord Yi, we're willing to join the crazy mansion auction house. We'll never betray you. Xing Lai said without hesitation. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could kill them at any time. Only by surrendering could they save their lives. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.